Doesn't have the same thing.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be anticlimactic.
The screw off is not the same as the pop off there.
No.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 355, and we are back in the garage. It's kind of spring. It's cold in Columbus today, 80 tomorrow. I think 20s lows next week. So we are kind of bundled up here again in the garage. We've got a special guest for you. But before we do that and bring him on, I do want to do some quick just business. I want to thank all you guys out there for supporting the show, obviously by watching and sharing and liking. What's that? Oh, yeah. And sorry about that. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, bartender. He is measuring out these special things we're doing today. But yeah, patreon.com/bourbonandbs podcast or Venmo at bourbonandbs. We appreciate all that continued support. Helps us stream this thing live and keeps it going for us and all you guys. Also want to thank Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, kind of where we're based out of here. We've got a cigar here tonight, the featured cigar, the Rocky Patel, The Edge, 20th anniversary. That's going to be from Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. If you guys don't have a local brick and mortar, make sure that you check them out, and they will ship to you. If you're in the area, definitely check them out. We had the big Smoking 10 event a couple weeks ago, and that was a huge success. So thank you for everyone that came out to that as well. Altadis USA, you see the brands behind us. Monte Cristo, Romeo Julieta, H. Upman, and Aging Room, among others. And we have a H. Upman Nicaragua made by AJ Fernandez for the second cigar of the night. So thank you, Altadis USA, and David and Maria and everyone there. Josh, we appreciate all of that support as well. Continued support. And BS Cigar Company, gold and silver are available. The gold is made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa. So check them out as well. They're available at Tinder Box at Easton, so you can always check those out from them as well. And then these guys are sporting some of the swag that you can get on buyjack.com/bourbonandbs. I'm sporting a limited edition hoodie that Eric Espinosa was kind enough to give us.
I don't want to talk about it.
It was a toss-up between that hoodie and this one, and I was like, I haven't worn the blue one in a while.
Been a lot of blue. I do have the 3/4 blue and black BS one underneath, but it's a little cold for that. So maybe later in the show, we'll all be in blue. But that being said, check out buyjack.com/bourbonbs. We appreciate all of the support. And as always, share, comment, and like, and all that good stuff on all the formats you enjoy listening to our show. And without further ado, I've got a special guest to bring on. Bobby, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Sorry for all that word vomit there. We just like to get that out of the way so people that tune in can see all that, and we thank our supporters for that.
You got a great voice for the radio. You got that deep.
Thank you.
You got some timber in that voice.
That's right. Now you're getting all sultry on us. This isn't a contest, everyone. All right.
Gotta go back and forth on a battle.
But yeah, introduce yourself if you would, please, to the audience.
Yeah, I'm Bobby DeMars. I'm the founder of Blind Barrels. We're the first really double-blind whiskey tasting experience, and we're really a membership. People can get kits without joining the membership, but members get access to the full bottles. At least they get them at really, really special prices. That's probably one of the best values. So some of the bottles, like on the secondary, they're usually bottles you can't even get. And if you can, I guarantee you can't get them at the prices that our members get it for.
Yeah, I saw on the website there that you have access to some interesting stuff. And I assume we'll go over what that all entails, how you get to be a member and all of that. We'll get into that a little bit further here. But just with this project, you guys have done this, it looks like, is that 15? This is release 15 that we've got
release
here?
number 15, so that means what? You got the Prestige?
No,
you got Inception. You got Inception.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah, we actually had Prestige was our June lineup, and then Inception was, so we did 2 Nolan movies back to back, which is a risk. You can't go wrong with that. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it. And we called this Inception because starting this last year, every September now, it's all member recommendations. So throughout the year, our members give us tons and tons of recommendations. We reach out, we talk to them. Some of them get back to us, some of them don't. We do a bunch of blinds. We don't choose whiskey brands really in the lineup. We choose whiskey. So we taste everything blind. We have a panel of experts and novices alike. And, it's not just who likes what. It's sometimes there's a magnitude involved. And ultimately, we're aiming for diversity in the lineup and make sure that the curation is top shelf. And then people are getting something. Obviously you're not going to love everything in the lineup, but you're going to love one or two of them. And even the ones that you didn't like, you're going to like that you got to try them. And so the idea of Inception, and this happens all the time where you're doing a tasting. If someone says, I'm getting candied marzipan, and or I'm getting baked cantaloupe or something. Now, once somebody says that, there's an inception upon that, right? Mm-hmm. So then you might be thinking that yourself. And so these are brands that members incepted on us. And then ultimately, they pick some killer ones that end up in the lineup. Like, this lineup in and of itself, there's a couple in here that actually were allocated that, there's a $120 bottle in here, I think, that our members get for $80 that, wow. I think there was only 20 cases of it in California, which is we're in Southern California. And I think we got them all. And then that way we can get them to our members.
Nice. Let's get into this. And then as we're talking, if you can kind of, as we're tasting, give us a little bit of like, when you say you guys are, doing the blind tasting first and foremost, I mean, where are those bottles coming from? Obviously, these are suggestions from your members and everything like that. But like, when you're saying that you're doing this to come up with these 4 that are in this set, you didn't pick the bottles, you picked them blindly yourselves. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, the irony of my role is that I don't get to do blinds anymore, in the sense that I know what everything is, right? So I talk to all the distilleries, but my guys that are my whiskey wizards, or spirits guys, as I like to call them, they're tasting everything blind. So I set up blinds for them, and so some brands will send us 6, 7, 8 SKUs. So we have brands that I would say we have been chasing since we started. And since we did a partnership with Fred Minnick a couple years ago. In fact, our March lineup, like right now, if someone becomes a member, they get the Fred Minnick kit, which is a premium kit that people can buy separately for like $40 more than what our members get it for. But that alignment with Fred got us a couple brands that we had been chasing for a while. A year ago, we did a partnership with Randy Sullivan from Bourbon Real Talk. So Ben Halliday, JT Malik were 2 brands that we were really interested in that, it was like a phone call and they were in the lineup within 5 minutes. But some brands, when you're talking to them, they don't understand, there's anybody doing this, right? So like a single blind is, I know what these samples are. I don't know what the order that they're in. A true double blind is, you don't know what anything is from the beginning. And then at the end, obviously we have a reveal. And what's really cool is the QR code. Actually, there's a game. So you can guess the age, the proof, and the type of whiskey. And you'll actually get a score that tells you how accurate your palate is.
And that's online there.
And it's on so there's a QR code on every bottle. There's a QR code on the tasting table that it comes with. And so that QR code, you can skip the game. You can go right to the reveal if you want to. And that's where you can buy a full bottle with shipping discounts and all that fun stuff too. Mm-hmm. If you're getting above 40%, that's really good. So you can't think about like, that's an F-. You don't have to get the proof on the nose. Like as you get further away, you get less and less points. But we set it up and we gamified it. And it's also just obviously drinking whiskey with you guys, it's meant to be communal, right? But it's, the gamification of it's great because you can kind of challenge, the consumer a little bit. Like it's funny. You'll get somebody that doesn't drink whiskey that often and they'll crush it. We just had somebody, they're like, I don't know. And they'll do pretty well on it. And then somebody that's like, I'm a steward and I passed all the things and I'm I did all the tests, and it's like they didn't guess what the rye was, the rye and the bourbon. And that's a very human thing to do. So sometimes when we do a show called 4 Whiskeys, actually. So I do get to do blinds once a week on that show.
Oh, nice.
Thursday. And so that's on a iHeartRadio kind of a live, and it's eventually going to be a podcast. And I do blinds then. And my guys that are really good have been doing this for a long time. I'm beating them right now in the year. In terms of, and we guess the price too. So we guess the age, the proof, the type, and the price, and ultimately there's different points in each round. And so I think it's fun. Everybody, there's an educational component, and there's single malts in our lineup that you would never guess are a single malt. Some people go, I don't like single malts. We could change your mind on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have that actually in here, and I think Sean's probably the I'd say least experienced as far as the cigars and the whiskeys that we normally have. So it's kind of to your point, it's nice because it was just last episode or the episode before that.
It was a couple episodes with the High Bank barrel proof bourbon.
The local distillery, High Bank here. They do Whiskey War, if you've heard of that by chance.
No.
They're here in Columbus, Ohio area. And, but yeah, like we were trying to guess it. And I think Nate and I we weren't too far off a couple of them, but then I think, wasn't he the only one that, he got wheat.
You and Jake were.
Oh, it was Jake. That's right.
You and Jake were both guessing high rye mash bills. Sean was the only one that guessed it was a wheated bourbon.
He throws out wheat, and we're like, "There's no way it's wheat." And then Nate read it and was like, "Yeah, so there's this percentage of wheat." We're like, "What 37%. The fuck?" You know what I mean?
That's a high percentage of wheat for sure.
Yeah.
And some people get those profiles. I mean, the ones that are like, "Oh, it's a high rye or low rye bourbon," like that can differentiate that. I mean, those are really expert palates that. Like a Nancy Fraley. I mean, you guys got some good brand. I know we were talking to Watershed for a little while out there.
Yeah, we're good friends with Watershed. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking to reconnect with them again. Middle West has been in our lineup twice.
Sure.
They were our very first lineup ever with the Middle West Pumpernickel Rye, and then
that's a good
December. Bottle. Oh, it's like everything they make is phenomenal. And the brands that source from them, known and unknown. I mean, everything they make, and really great people too. And so we ran into a problem. So all this legal stuff has to happen. It's not easy to get other people's whiskey into our bottles legally. There's a lot of hoops, and there's a 3-tier system, and there's a lot of stuff we have to do. And when the government shutdown happened for 2.5 months, we couldn't do any of the legal stuff. And so the Fred Minnick lineup got pushed to March, and all the legal stuff was still in place for brands from the last 5 years. So we did a best of the best lineup where we took some of the best brands that we had from when we didn't have that many members, from when we only had 200, 300, 400 members, and then found something really special from them, like a store pick that you could literally only get if you're at the distillery, and rare things like that. So we did a best of the best. And Middle West, their cast strength wheat is just, it got right after it was in the lineup, they got number 14 in the world. And so our members get a bottle of the cast strength wheat for $60. That's probably less than if you guys go to your liquor store. You guys probably paid $65, $70.
Right. That one, I think it's $65 on the shelves in Ohio.
It sounds
Yeah, so our members get it for $60. And if you guys are in Ohio, right? So a lot of our members are all over the country. We got 5,000 members in 44 states. And so, if you're in South Dakota, you're not even getting that bottle,
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And you're allowed to ship to all those states, right? Is that how that works?
44 states. Yeah. I mean, there's that's a whole other, ball of wax. I mean, of just trying to get into, there's certain states like Utah you don't ship to, for obvious reasons. Arkansas is really difficult. Hawaii and Alaska, just because it's cost prohibitive. So, we could ship to Alaska. It's just going to cost like $200 to get an alcohol signature shipment out there. Right. But yeah, we have different partnerships of people that have specific licenses that allow us to get into different states.
Okay. Well, let's jump into this while we're talking here. So, Nate, which is A?
So I intentionally did this.
I like it.
Everyone, so we each have a glass that says Knob Creek on it, and then we each have a glass with nothing on it.
Okay.
The Knob Creek is A. The blank one is B.
Okay. So we're gonna we didn't, instead of having a whole table full of glasses, we're gonna do A and B first, talk about them here, and go that route the best we can. So Knob Creek is A, correct?
Yes.
All right.
So the very first one in this.
So as we're doing this, one of the things, and I didn't get the side part of this. First of all, the presentation on this is ridiculous. I opened the box that you guys sent, and just off the rip, just the gold leaf look on the, with the logo, open it up, very colorful.
Soft touch. There's a soft touch. There's magnet with the ribbon pull. It's got color litho on the inside. Got the gold leaf. Yeah. Well, we want people to associate Top Shelf with these small brands because what happened is distribution really prevents people from getting access to really cool stuff. And, we know some really awesome distributors, and we know some that really make it hard. There's a reason that you go into your bar, and other than seeing a couple, Ohio brands in the bar, you're seeing Bullet, and you're seeing Makers, and you're seeing Jack Daniels, and you'll see all the traditional well pours. And that is by design. There's a reason you go to your Total Wine liquor bar and whatever you got out in your spot, your pennies, and you see all the normal characters. You're only looking at 1% of what's actually available. Now, the reality is craft, I think, used to have a tough, people just think craft was crap. And there are a lot of, low-end craft brands out there. And but there's some that I think are better than some of the allocated bottles that you'll get out there. I mean, there's a couple in this lineup that are just off the chart.
I think it took time, right? I mean, there were a lot that we were seeing just even, probably 10 years ago, really, where the boom was really kind of kicking up, right? So this is before 2020 when, so there were some distilleries and brands that were more importantly, probably brands other than just distilleries, but they, sourcing it, and they were just kind of just getting their hands on what they could. They're trying to slap a label on it. And that was, I feel like, putting a bad name out there. And then on top of that, you had a lot of them that were sourcing, but then they were trying to do their own thing. There were some, I'm not going to name any names, but they were kind of reinventing the whole process, right? They were using smaller barrels. They were pressurizing them. They're doing all this stuff. And then you tasted it and you're like, that's not it. For me, it was a lot of that like creativity at first, and they may have gotten better over time. They might have perfected their process, but the classic example of what the 53-gallon barrels and aging it the proper way, different climates can affect it and different mash bills. But it was just, I feel like that surge really kind of, it helped and also hurt possibly what you're talking about, right? With the craft distilleries.
Yeah. I mean, there were some that were using 5-gallon barrels, right? Which is like, you're getting more wood influence, and what does that do into the distillate? And so, the 53 is pretty standard. We have had some brands that have had 30. We've never done, there's one brand, and it's wild. They're called 13th Century out of Colorado Springs, and he's sourcing and blending, right? And then he's putting it into a 15-gallon of char 1, a 15-gallon for a year, and then a 15-gallon of char 2 for a year. Okay. Same thing for char 3, 4, 5, and then a toasted barrel for a year. Now that's wild that he's going through 6 barrels in 6 years with a unique custom blend. And that I would say that particular juice was just really, really good. For the ones that are going with the younger age statements, I mean, sometimes it really depends. It can taste what's called young or crafty. And we've had some 1-year whiskeys in the lineup, like early on, that actually did really well.
Really?
Surprisingly, with the climates. But a lot of the times most of them are somewhere in that 4 to, we've had a 26 year in the lineup. We've had some 15 years. So we've had some really well-aged stated. And look, there's still some really interesting crafty ones going out there. We were in the middle of, it's called, there's something about a certain type of a tree, what they do with the tree. It's a broad slab. It's this town called Broad Slab, North Carolina. If you're ever traveling through, this is in the middle of nowhere, and there's a part of the tree that is unusable, and this town came up with a way to use it to help pave roads, and it's the broad slab of the tree. And this guy is, his stepfather has his farm. It was his 5-generation farm. He's a true farmer, and he's got this tractor, and I mean, he built his own still. And I've seen a lot of hillbilly stills. This thing, I mean, this guy, when you talk to him, you like think, oh, he's got a first-grade education, and you look at his still, and this guy's a genius. Like, he built one of the most incredible mashers still combinations. He built his own rick house, and what he does is he takes the bourbon when it's 2 years old, and he puts it in the flue of where they're aging tobacco, and for like 2 or 3 days. Now, it gets like 170 degrees down there, so it's like cooking the whiskey. And when it comes out, and like I guess 2 out of 100 barrels just explode from the heat and pressure, and they all come out warped and jacked up. And this barrel comes out dark as hell with tobacco notes, without actually, there's not nicotine in it, so it's not dangerous. And it's, I mean, he's patented that, and I will say it is wild. It is interesting. It is craft in the best sense, and that this guy's coming up with something that nobody's ever done before. And it's coming out dark and rich and unique and really good.
What's that called?
It's called Broad Slab.
Broad Slab.
I mean, he's only got 800 barrels there, and so we're trying to convince him. Just at the volume that we have, sometimes it doesn't make sense for the really, really small brands, and we get that. But
it makes sense.
For the ones that are out there doing, I mean, if you look at what all the big dogs are doing now, I mean, look at Jack Daniels. They've really started doing what craft has done. So our rules are: it's got to be American, it's got to be craft. Ideally, somebody's making their own whiskey, but that's not a requirement. If they're sourcing, they have to do something to it. So just white labeling, what you were talking about, Because when people want to start a distillery, what do they sell a lot of? They sell a lot of rum, tequila, vodka, and gin, because stuff that they either don't have to age very long, right? Whiskey needs time in a barrel. So they source. And the problem with that is they're sourcing and they're white labeling. At some point, they make their own distillate. Well, it's like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he's trying to trade the bag of sand for the idol, right? And it doesn't, sometimes like you had a really good thing over here. Like if people that are sourcing from Middle West, there's a big brand out there that tried to make their own distillate, and it's different. And it's not just different; it's not as good. It's nowhere near as good, and that will kill their brand. There's another big brand. I think Uncle Nearest tried to do something like that too. Where they were making their own and they were sourcing. But if you're sourcing and you're not blending it, if you're not doing something to it, if it's just that 95.5 MGP rye, and you're just throwing a label on it, to us, there's no story there. Now, if you got like Macaulay over at Dark Arts and he's blending and he's coming up with these killer blends, then yeah, we're 100% interested, because that guy is one of the best palates. He's doing a bunch of mushrooms and coming up with some really cool stuff. Wow. He's doing psychedelics and coming up with some flavor profiles you never thought about. It's phenomenal, right? So that falls under the only time we've actually allowed a white label in. So have you ever seen the Doc Holliday bottles with the bullet casings on it? Yeah. So World Whiskey Society, they're out of Georgia, Pendergrass, Georgia, and they're sourcing really, really cool stuff. They're doing a lot of blends. If you see a Doc Holliday bottle out there, it's probably really good stuff. Some of it is just a white label situation. Some of it's MGP. And they sent us a 6-year, and it was good. But it was just MGP. It was a white label. I said, well, we don't do that. And they said, well, can we send you the 10-year? And I'm like, I'm not going to say no to sending me a 10-year whiskey. And I tried it, and I'm like, is this 10-year MGP? I mean, it was so rich and just off the charts good. And they said, no, it's these barrels we found in Texas. And I went, okay, keep going. Basically, this guy, Carlos Lavelle in Georgia, he was making whiskey illegally for, his whole life. He was making whiskey since he was 7, but he was a part of a family, the Lavelles. They made it illegally 4 generations for 150 years. And they bounced the appellations and they evaded the feds. Well, when he was in his 70s, his daughter convinced him to go legitimate to start this Ivy Mountain distillery. See, when people start making whiskey, they're not always good at it unless they apprentice for another distillery or even come from a wine or a brewing background. And some of them never get good at it. This guy was making whiskey his whole life. And he was mainly making moonshine. It was this sour mash Georgia bourbon moonshine that wasn't aged at all. And then he was aging some of it 6 months, okay, because his distillate was so good that unaged, everyone loved it. And then 3 years in, he died. And these barrels that weren't going to be aged that long sat there for about 4 or 5 years. Bardstown got wind of it and knew the juice was good, put a bunch of it in their Explorer series. Some got blended with the Jim Rutledge barrels he did with Castle and Key, ended up in Art of Alchemy. The rest ended up in Texas for another 4 years, which is like 7 because of that Texas heat, that maturation rate. These guys found it, brought it back to Georgia, got it to 10 years. So if you ever see Doc Holliday 10-year and it says George on it, that's this juice. But those bottles don't exist anymore because it was in our lineup and we sold it out of existence, except for 2 barrels, which we let it get to 12-year. So we're about to get those for our members pretty soon. Not in the sample kit, but just let them have access. So I put that in a blind for my guys, and they're like, Bobby, are you fucking with us? Because I will put their favorite stuff in a lineup and see if they'll give it a B-. I'm like, oh no, you hate the thing that you love. How does that feel? That must hurt. And exactly. 4 limited edition, you love Four Roses. You gave it a C+. And they were like, is this William LaRue Weller? Like, it was so rich and not overly oaked and phenomenal that I'm like, no, we could have this. So it's the only time we've done a white label situation because it was from a craft distiller. It's the Lost Barrels of Whiskey Outlaw. And the exception that we did is we put the neck tag, we put the story of that distiller, Carlos Lavelle, on the neck tag of the bottle so that his legacy's in that bottle, right? So, when you're drinking that and that's gone forever.
Yeah. That is. Where are you holding on to those 2 barrels, or is it being held elsewhere? Like
they're getting bottled in Georgia, and then we're going to have those in a couple of months.
I just didn't know what kind of facility you might have.
I mean, we're not bottling that. I mean, we're technically a retailer, so we'll be
purchasing
that through a distributor.
Yeah.
So we operate amongst the tiers, but we're in the 3rd tier.
I got you. So, okay, we've all, well, Nate's through both A and B, I see. I was staying on A, but that's good overachiever over here. So what are we supposed to, if we were playing the game? I mean, I came up with a mash bill. I'm not happy with it. I hate when I'm like guessing a mash bill. I start writing it down and the math's not mathing. And I'm just like, well, that can't be right then, because I started with, corn or whatever it might be. So we got guessing the mash bill, guessing the proof. What else should someone be doing? I mean, you do include, and again, not seeing the game, but you include this for those that you can see this. This is your tasting table. And I took a picture of that, so I'm hoping that it's somewhat legible for those out there.
Yeah, so we you've seen the wheel, right? We reinvented the wheel. We made the table. So you work left to right. I'm getting these notes. Now, this isn't necessarily mash bill. Obviously, something that is spicy is likely to be a rye, and something that is sweet is likely to be a bourbon. So that's that's not always true. We've got some really sweet bourbons that have, ryes that have been in lineups, and we've had some really unique bourbons that have been in the lineup. We had some things that, I don't know if you've had that JT Melick, but the rice that they grow crawfish in, they made whiskey out of it, and it's 100% Louisiana rice whiskey. And you would think, well, that's not in this lineup, but you would think that like a really hot sake, it's like, no, it tastes like an incredibly deep, rich bourbon. So the QR code, we don't get into the mash bill, but we give you 4 different categories that exist within the kit, so we make it a little bit easier, right? Okay. So in this lineup, I think there's a millet, there's a rye, there's a bourbon, and there's a Kansas City style. See,
this is even new to me, some of these styles here.
Yeah.
Well, millet, I mean, I've never heard of anybody doing a millet until this. I don't know anyone else that's ever done a millet whiskey.
So what do you know what a millet whiskey is? Like what makes a millet whiskey?
Well, it's made from millet. It's that's the grain. So I mean, normally when you think about bourbon's corn, right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, well, you get a mullet and then you put it in the mill and
that's
then
right.
But I mean, I think millet grains are stuff that were really fed to like cattle, or they were as known for that. In fact, it's been something that they've traced in different Indian territories. Like sometimes they'll find that grain in certain territories, and then they know that there were ancient, more civilized societies there that were cultivating cattle there.
So we're gonna have a taste of this in this kit, right?
You're gonna have a taste of millet, and you'll know exactly what millet tastes like now going forward. And surprisingly, like I wouldn't say like the millet grain is my favorite. But I love that it's unique and different. I kind of equate it to, I had a buddy that had like a subscription to a candy subscription, and it was candies from all over the world. Okay. And Japan would have some wild stuff, and like some octopus tentacles that are chocolate and jelly and all this stuff. And it was always, and like 3 or 4 of them were just really, really good. And then sometime I was like, there was one from the Sudan, and it was like, does it have to be chalky and spicy? Like, this is like, this is terrible, but I loved that I got to try it. Right. And so once again, we're really, I always say we're not a whiskey company. We're an experience company. And that's really what we're trying to offer here. So, but I will say the millet, when you guys have it, it's really interesting because it's incredibly unique. It was very popular amongst members, and part of it might be because the bottle that they put this millet whiskey in is the most gorgeous bottle that I've ever seen. And it won like design bottle of the year for like every spirits industry. So some people may just be getting it so they get the bottle and then they'll put cooking oil in it later on. I don't know.
All right. So,
but you guys can play the game. You can use the QR code. You can guess the age, the proof, and then there's categories there in terms of type of whiskey to kind of help. Yeah, we have a lot of people that are new on their whiskey journey. We don't expect them to know that corn dominant is bourbon or rye dominant, or single malt is barley dominant, right? But there's like I don't know if you guys know who Alan Bishop is. He was the head distiller for French Lick Spirits, and now he's doing Old Homestead. He left there and he kind of started his own thing, and he has a 4-grain whiskey that the 4th grain isn't barley. No, he doesn't have rye in it. He's got the other 3, but then he has oats. And damn, it's good. I mean, it's so good. I don't know. And other people are following suit and they're doing that. But whiskey, like putting the oat in the whiskey as the 4 grain. He'll put in the mash bill that there's 2% buckwheat when he has a rye, because when you get rye, 2% of that's buckwheat. Like that's just the way that grain is. Like there's a weed that's in there, but people don't disclose it. So he goes, yeah, there's 2% buckwheat in the mash bill, right? And that's true when you're having a lot of rye, but most people just don't disclose that.
They don't put it in there. What do you guys think of A? We have thoughts on this? Nate, you're on C right now.
For me, A was
sprinter over here.
Yeah, A was very vegetal. There was a lot of that veggie herbalness on the palate, or actually mostly on the nose, but just a lot of like garden herbs.
Okay. I didn't get that.
I got more floral on the nose. I guess opposite. And then I'm still, there's a lot of notes. And again, I'm newer, 3 or 4 years into it, but me on the palate, it got a little sweeter for vanilla, but on the finish, it got real, almost like tobacco or like leathery or something. It's almost bitter on the finish. But what I liked about it is like sometimes you can have a bourbon or whatever you're drinking, and you can kind of get, it's like this, and then on the palate, like for example, like there's caramel on the palate and vanilla, and then it finishes with a baking spice, and they're all kind of like blend. This was like on the nose was one thing, palate, and then finish. All three were very distinct to me. Like there was none of this kind of one all together. It was like stunning.
That's what I love. I mean, you hit on all. That's the type of. Now I can't say we can pull that off with every whiskey that's in the lineup, but this is why this is in the lineup, because it's every phase. It's kind of like the everlasting Goff snapper, Schnozberries tastes like schnozberries, and then and then it's just, and then it turns into something else, and you're like, what's happening right now? And for me, I get like a cherry cola note on this whiskey when I have it that other people don't get. But I mean, I can say it in a room and I can put an Inception on somebody and people will get cherry cola notes from it, but I don't even know if it's even in our tasting notes, but it's something that I get that it almost kind of reminds me of those little soda candies, that
I see that. It's got like a little bit of, like, with that being said, like it's a spice, but I could be confused for like the kind of carbonation sensation on your tongue and in your mouth. That I think it's not like a spicy type of a spice, but it kind of gives that little bit of a, like you said, now with the little Inception there, I was thinking like, what was it? I mean, but it kind of does have that sensation that you would get from that. I don't know how they do it with the candies, but with carbonation on the cola there. Are we guessing proof on that or no? What are we doing? Do you have that information?
I can pull up all that information. Absolutely.
You guessing proof?
I usually remember most of it, but as of now, we're on the middle of our 17th lineup. It's like,
right.
I kind of remember all of it, but I do remember what the proof on this one is, and I definitely know which one it is. Do you guys want to guess the age and the proof? And based upon the 4 categories that are on the game, you can guess the type if you want as well.
I think I'm gonna have to go through all 4 before I guess the type. I don't want that the whole picture. What do you think the proof is?
I'm thinking 95, 100. Maybe it's the 100. Nate mentioned 100, but I was guessing 2 is 100.
Okay,
I'm 108.
100 proof.
100.
I'm gonna go 6 year.
Oh, we gotta do age too, don't we?
Mm-hmm. I'm on B now.
I'm gonna do. We do prices right. I'm gonna do 5.
Okay. One now.
Yeah, I'll go. Let's go 4.
Damn you.
All right, so I'll reveal the proof and the age. So this is a 5-year.
Okay.
And this is 100 proof.
Damn. Nate said it so confidently. 100
this is
proof.
Bottled in bond.
I was thinking bottled in bond.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
What about the tasting notes?
The tasting notes that we have here, my guy's kind of a wordsmith. On the aroma, vibrant tropical fruits, mango and pineapple, honey drizzled over warm porridge, red hots, chocolate-covered cherries. On the taste, the palate starts soft with sweet grain and vintage cola, thyme. I think I foisted the vintage cola in there. And continues with raisin bread, nuts, vanilla, marshmallow, chamomile tea with honey. And the finish is clean and bright with notes of orange, cherry cola, creamy porridge, and agave nectar.
Wow.
Close.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So B is definitely different.
Okay.
B is wildly different.
Wildly different.
All right, on the nose, it's some kind of fruit.
I got tons of fruit on the nose, and before I even tasted it, it was more like lemon and cedar.
The aroma was?
Yes.
Lemon and cedar?
And then on the palate, I got some clove.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a rye, a millet. You all right?
It's a little bit
smooth. Is it smooth? Smooth for you? Yeah. So yeah, you got a rye, a bourbon, a millet, and what was the fourth one?
And a bourbon.
No, yeah. So
two bourbons.
Oh,
Two
whiskey
bourbons.
and a bourbon.
Oh wait, there's Kansas City style.
Kansas City style,
a bourbon, a rye, and a millet.
Okay.
And do you guys know what Kansas City style is?
We don't. I don't.
And this place fought to get this designation the way that Jack Daniel's fought for that Tennessee designation.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City style is they're actually putting sherry into the whiskey.
Cherry or sherry? Sherry.
So it's like 2% of it. They're not finishing it in a sherry barrel. They're actually putting 2% of it is actual sherry.
That's Kansas City.
That's Kansas City style. And then they take you in the back and they shoot you. They throw barbecue sauce all over your chest.
It's your last tour.
You almost killed Sean.
That spice came out my nose.
That's
right.
Kansas City style. All right, take your shirt off, boys. We're going to get Kansas City style.
All right. Nate, this was a long time ago for you for B. What are your thoughts on that one?
No, I said, fruitier on the nose, lemon, cedar, clove. I'm guessing
you got clove on the palate. Though,
yes,
you said.
I'm going to guess 92 proof, and I'm going to guess this 8 year.
92 and 8. You didn't hit the QR code, right? You didn't?
No.
Okay, just making sure you don't. Not an open book test here.
Definitely got fruit on the nose. Another one of those gobstopper ones too. Very fun journey. But I'm getting like it's like green like a peach or
You're getting ready to say apricot, weren't you?
yeah, I was apricot. I'm gonna go with that was my first thought.
Yeah,
Definitely clove on the palate.
I was toying with that one too.
And then that finish was. Hold on, let me kill myself again. Hold
Finish
on.
it.
Mm-mm.
Finish the finish.
Just put your nose.
It's almost like a sweet and bitter. What would be that? Like there's definitely some sweetness, a little bitter, and I don't know what that would. Maybe black licorice. And then yeah, it's going to be a little. I'm going to say 7 year and 104 proof. Maybe 105.
104.8.
Yeah.
All right. Stark contrast from A. I mean, it was right off the rip. It had like a drier sensation for me. Like it just hit when it hit. The nose is tough for me in here in the garage with the smoke and everything like that. I can't really smell as much like that. But yeah, I mean, it just immediately. I don't want to say it gave me cotton mouth, but it was just like it kind of hit the tongue completely different. So when you say the fruit, it took me like the second step to get a little bit of the flavor from it, but I get the bitterness that you're talking about, but in a good way. I'm trying to think. It's not like coffee, but it's kind of got the sensation of like a black coffee, but it doesn't taste like it. It's kind of interesting for me on the sensation there. But overall, it's a very stark contrast from A. That is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, cigars are interesting because usually the whiskey is enhancing the cigar more than the cigar is enhancing the whiskey.
It can.
And it can, enhance or it can nullify or mute some of the different tasting notes that you might get.
We were actually it changes, yeah.
We were doing we were in New Orleans not too long ago. We were making a custom blend with Sean Joseph, the founder of Pinup, and it was just loads of cigar and weed smoke was just drifting into this bar where we were just kind of messing up our ability to get through the aromas because we're actually blending 3 different barrels together and trying to come up with
that'd be difficult
combination.
Bobby, the one thing we do too is every other week we try a different cigar and bottle, and we'll kind of like rate the cigar and then the bottle, and then we do a combined like how they pair with each other. And it's interesting where if you take a
hit get a little cigar, rinse on the glass.
Huh?
Did you get a little rinse on the glass or a little water in there or something?
I cleared it out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Because sometimes one's funky and one's. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Right. Yeah, that's okay. So like when we, for example, like we'll maybe take a hit of the cigar and then drink, we'll get certain flavor notes, and then we take a drink, then hit a cigar, like completely different flavor notes. It's pretty crazy how that works. With these would be, I think it'd be overload for me because of all the different. This distinct tastes and flavors that change so much with that cigar. A cigar would be like, I don't even know where to start. Sensory overload.
We did a partnership with Luxury Cigar, and they paired a cigar with each sample in the lineup.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I think in hindsight, if we were to do something like that again, we would pair one cigar with the whole lineup.
It's interesting. Or we do it different also sometimes on like an episode where obviously we have like a full bottle or whatever. We'll actually, for the second cigar and see how it goes opposite, right? You're staying with the same spirit and then, switching the cigars because it absolutely does change things quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just for me, I'd rather have 4 whiskeys in a row, but I don't have 4 cigars in a row.
Well, that's fair. Most people are like that. Yeah, it's easier that way.
Well, I mean, I like nicotine, but I don't have like if someone gives me a 6 milligram Zyn, I'm going to the moon. You know what I mean? My buddy came back from Sweden. He had 24 milligram Zyns that like you can only get. Yeah, and my buddy who does a lot of Zyns, he was like, it was like he was high, on something that wasn't weed. Like it was like he was driving that stuff, man. Oh, just mainlining that. But like for me, like I've done a cigar and a half, and then I kind of started getting queasy. But like Jeremy Sears, who's a big kind of influencer within the cigar industry, and we did sponsorship with him for a year. And there's guys on there that like 18 cigars a day, and I'm like, like
when I was a rep, I was doing 5 to 7, 6 days a week.
No, and I think I average like 2 or 3. There are days, especially summertime days, and then we do like a podcast or whatever that night, and I'm probably 5, 6, 7 in that day. But yeah, I mean to do 18, if they're smaller cigars, sure, but like to do like a Toro size and you're smoking 18, like you're not doing anything else with your day. Like you're literally sitting there chiefing those things. It just doesn't make any sense. You can't taste anything.
Yeah.
If you got that dude that's just rolling cigars all day, like you ever been at a party and the guy rolls cigars, and that guy's just a cigar all day. Like, yeah, I'm stoked for that guy. Like he found the perfect
part of the job,
Yeah. I once had a customer that would smoke a pipe and 2 cigars at the same time. Wow. He had a pipe in one hand, and then he had one cigar, like he had one cigar here, one cigar here. Both of them were either 60 or 70 ring gauge, and then a pipe in his other hand, and he would just go back and forth. And like when he would do,
is he single?
Yes.
Just a guess.
When he would do pouches, he would do like 5 in each lip.
Wait, he'd do pouches too?
No, not on top of it. But if he wasn't smoking and was doing pouches, he would do like 5 in each lip.
Get an IV in with Red Bull going on the whole time. So I can just. I'm going to see if I can die today. Nope, made another one.
Yeah. He's got great lung capacity. I'll tell you
Third or C here, again. Just it's cool.
He didn't tell us the results of.
What
was B?
So that was 92 proof, and it's a mix of 4-year of something and a 16-year of something.
Oh,
I said 8. So that's somewhere in between those.
It's kind of somewhere in between.
You hit 92, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you knew that.
It's on the back of the fucking bottles.
Oh, come on.
I was gonna say
I didn't know that when I first started pouring them.
I
was reading the back label.
I had a feeling I was gonna call you that because you literally got the first two on the nose, which is rare.
The way he said it too, he didn't even he could have played it up and be like, I don't know, like 93, no 92. He's like 92.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you can. There's certain things that legally have to be on the bottle. Like pregnant women can't drink it, the state of distillation, that it's whiskey that has to be on there, and proof has to be on there. So yeah, I mean, and you have great vision if you can read that because that's as small of a type as you can have.
That's my best. My best sense is my vision.
Huh?
He's a visionary.
You think this one's millet?
I don't know. It's just very unique. I've never.
I think the nose on C is maybe one of my favorite noses of any whiskey we've had in the lineup, and maybe any whiskey I've ever had. Like, I think the nose is just phenomenal. I could just sit in my back porch and just smell the whiskey all day.
Just huff it.
You know what it reminds me of, Steve?
What's that?
On C, the OG Watershed with that spelt. That's what it reminds me of.
So you think it might be millet?
That's yeah.
Have you done all of them? Are you done?
Yes.
That's what I guess. I think it's
well. I also didn't smoke any of the cigar until I was done.
It's fair. You want to guess what the proof of C is?
No.
Jerk. That's really shitty that you did that, but that's funny.
But I'm gonna guess 6 year.
Is that on the bottle?
No.
Okay.
Age statement's not on.
I'm gonna do 5 and then 92, and I think it's millet. I'm guessing it's millet because it's a very unique taste to it. Never really.
I think it could be though.
Kansas City thing.
Yeah, Kansas City would be different, but I don't like. I feel like you'd get a little of the sherry added in there, right?
I didn't get any sweet at all.
I'm gonna taste the fourth before that. It's interesting because it almost, if it is millet, I feel like it could be a little bit a higher proof, but maybe younger. I don't know. Like, I don't know. There could be a higher rye there. It could be off because you had a bottle and bond, right?
Yeah, try D.
Holy
try
shit.
D before I finish that.
Dude,
because D,
are crazy. I mean, they are smacking the
D.
face.
D was very, very nice.
I think that's the Kansas City one.
Yeah, I just had to order a bunch more D because.
I mean, cherry right off the nose, man.
I think I would assume that's Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because it almost tastes like a finished a little bit, which would be, this is not quite there, but you had meant, Watershed, right? But you don't know High Bank here.
I don't know High Bank.
So High Bank does a whiskey war called Midnight
Cask.
Midnight Cask, and they add, I think it's 10%.
Yeah. So their regular award-winning blend from San Francisco Wine and Spirits is basically they're blending 2 high rye bourbons and a rye from MGP. And the Black Label 88 proof is supposed to be the same kind of flavor profile every time. Green Label barrel proof is different flavor profile each time. But then what they're doing is they're taking that and adding port wine to it.
Wow.
Similar, but a lot more of it.
Yes. Like when people sit there and they say they like the Basil Hayden dark rye, it's like, well, yeah, it's bourbon or it's rye whiskey with port blended in it. Like, what's not to like?
Yeah, that's
It's so sweet. Well, yeah, that would be the port wine.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can really tell a finish, and it's obvious. Like, for instance, most rum finishes, we had in our June lineup, we had a rum. This one, you can tell this one's a little hot, right? This one's coming a little hot.
It is.
But we had a rum finish in our June lineup that was so subtle. I mean, you get those vanilla, rum notes that are in there, but most people, when there's a rum finish, it tastes too much like rum. It's like the barrel was too wet, or sometimes they didn't leave it in long enough. Actually, the longer you leave it in there, some people go, "Oh, it tastes too rummy, take it out." And it's like, no, sometimes you need to leave it in longer, and that actually evens out. what they're doing with it. So the one that we had was left in the rum barrel for a year. So it was 5-year bourbon that was then put into a rum barrel for a year. So it was 6-year. So that's not really a finish, but man, it was phenomenal. And, I had a guy that, he's more of a drinker than a taster, and he was over here, and I had like these 20 samples, and man, he drank half of this bottle that we had in the same. He just kept going back to it. And so that's when I talk about when I'm always looking for not just collectively like Finland, like, oh, we got 7 second place votes in this, and we do some kind of an algorithm, an expected value on what each one is actually worth. No, somebody's magnitude, when somebody really, really loves something, like that really nudges me to want to put it in the lineup. If somebody just starts going, this is the best thing I've ever had.
Yeah, I think this goes into two, like it's a couple different stages, right? This is a fun gift. It's a fun thing for an enthusiast. It's fun to do like in a group. If you're in like a whiskey group or like a, even like this, like a bourbon and cigar group, you could do the subscription and compare notes, even if you're not local to each other, right? Because there's a lot of like remote ones, especially after 2020, 2021, right? There's a lot of remote and a lot of different Facebook groups and stuff like that. But
everybody gets the same lineup at the same time. So our releases are drops. So mid-March, so the Fred Minute Kit just went out. Yeah. The Fred Minute Kit's still on our lineup if someone wants to try that. So we're going to be tasting live with Fred on April 23rd for everybody that has that kit. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And we do 2 lives with everybody too every quarter, and we do bottle giveaways. And we just did one this last Saturday. We had about 250 people on. We're going to do another one a week from Friday, and we'll have another bunch of people, and then we'll have Fred's people with our people on the 23rd. And that's really cool because it's like you're getting a kit, but then you get an experience where you get to actually hang out with, one of the best palates or tasters or most well-respected people in the game. And so we're really excited for that one.
And just while we round out these 4 here, tell everyone if you could, I didn't have a shot of it pulled up here to put on the screen, but what are how do you get involved with this subscription service, and how do you sign up? What's the cost? Obviously, you already mentioned a lot of benefits, right? With the member prices of bottles, a lot of bottles you can't find anywhere possibly, or most places. Other times you get to learn a little bit about it. There's a game involved, but I mean, and again, presentations just absolutely top notch. Like I know you were joking about, with the magnet and the what was it, soft touch and all that stuff. There is something to that. Like you said, there's a premium feel to this. It's not just, you're doing this as a side project and, you're putting these together in unmarked bottles. I mean, this is all very, very well done. I mean, this is a high, I guess, just profile type of a product. So, I mean, how do they get involved?
Thank you. And I just like that. Yeah. And I like to do the voice when I'm talking about the box because, it takes, look, that's custom glass. That's custom packaging. We spent a whole year just doing all this. We didn't want to hurry up and screw it up. So we put a lot of time and energy and care into it. I think one of the things that's great about these kits is you can reuse them and make blinds for other people. Yeah. So a lot of people do that. They'll make blinds and send it to their buddy. And we have people that have friends and mothers and coworkers that are in different counties and different states. And it gets everyone to commit to checking in every quarter. Right. And so we have people that, they would just see their buddies every 3 years that from high school. And now they're seeing them every 3 months and they're connecting, they're doing a Zoom together. Or we've seen them all jump on. Like when we did our giveaway in December, we gave away some 2 samples of Pappy 23 at each of the lives.
Wow.
And so there were some people that literally got their parents on and got their brother on. They had like 10 people on just to try to increase the odds of winning that, which I was like, oh, that's kind of a smart move to game the system. But yeah, look, you can go to blindbarrels.com and if you want a one-off, you get a one-off. You want just the Fred Minute Kit, you can get just the Fred Minute Kit. We got Mario Asensio. There's a member that's jumping in right now.
Mario's been on for a while here.
Yeah, Mario. Yeah, he's in Oklahoma. Yeah, he's a super fan. He actually got the Blind Barrels logo of the avatar on his Jeep, his car. He's a great guy. He's detailing by him. And
I just got done talking or replying to he's wanting to get a cigar, and I told him definitely try that and do different ways of we discussed earlier, have a hit and then drinking back and forth. And I told him, if you can learn how to retrohale, now you've got another layer of tasting notes that will just blow your freaking mind. So
I love a Patel. I love a blonde, was it the Carolina wrapper?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Yeah. I love a Connecticut blonde wrapper, and just when you get so the Patel one that I had not too long ago was that one.
Yeah.
But the annual, so the quarterly, you get a free tasting glass at $79.99. That includes the shipping. Shipping alcohol is expensive, so we just include it into the price so people don't get freaked out when they check out. For the annual, you get 5 kits actually. So your first kit, you get a bonus lineup. So like if you sign up today, what you would get is you get our March lineup, which is the Fred Minnick lineup, which other people are paying $100 for. You get 4 custom tasting glasses, and you'll get our December lineup too, our best of the best lineup in your first lineup. And then you'll get another kit in June, another one in September, another one in December. And then, member prices. So we're getting ready to add something called Bobby's Stash, which is going to be allocated bottles at killer prices. So, Midwinter Night's Dram, instead of $180, $200, you're going to get it for $130. That Doc Holiday 12-year, that's a $300 bottle. Our members are going to get it, for like $130, $140. So we're going to be throwing in just some really cool. We got some Old Fitz bottled in bond. We just got some of the new riff. Balboa in, I got some Hakushu. That what?
But Balboa is a good bottle.
That's a killer bottle. I think we're going to sell it for $60, and that's normally like 70, 80, depending on.
Yeah, Ohio's a control state. I think.
They have to sell it at 65 or 70 there. Probably.
I think it was 60. Yeah.
The wholesale on it is like 53, 54. So Shopify takes a cut. We have flat rate shipping. The shipping costs more than what we charge for it. So then, we try to price it basically so we don't lose money. So when someone buys a bottle, we're not making money from that. I always say you're supporting the distillery, you're not supporting us. We're going to win indirectly because, you're going to stick with us because you're going to get killer bottle prices.
Absolutely.
The Fred Minnick lineup is all stuff from his top 100 list. And one of these brands, man, we were like in town trying to visit this brand, and they were like, no, we're not interested. And I'm like, damn it, we're like literally down the street, and that doesn't happen very often. Like usually we can kind of get to anybody now, or we just have a ton of brands that reach out to us all the time. We get 15 distilleries that reach out to us every month, and sometimes they, for instance, if their bourbon, if they got a 2-year and that's $30, like. It's not going to fit what we're looking for. Like we do have bottles that we sold for $45 that are really like 60. But most bottles are in that 50 to 80 range. We're really priced for the middle class, but then, we have some rare, we had a $250 26-year that we sold for $130,
Jesus.
No, I mean, there's nothing but perks to it. Obviously, the program that you guys have going on there. I mean, there's a lot of added benefits. I mean, that's, I think, part of the depth of what you guys are doing, which is kind of cool. Hearing from you, looking at the website earlier before the podcast. I mean, there's just like kind of this is the jumping off point, right? This type of a subscription, or if you want to do the one-time deal or whatever. But it just kind of keeps adding the value there. And I mean, it sounds like Mario, I'm sure he follows you, and if you shared it, that's how he found out. Now he's watching this. I mean, it's just like a lot of network, of a shared hobby and passion, which is cool.
Oh yeah. Mario's a regular caller on our radio show too. He's always calling in. He's almost off probation. Come on, Mario, you're almost there. You're almost there, buddy.
I love it.
I was going to say too. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Once you start looking at these, the algorithms start popping up with these, but I like your prices on these because I was always thinking about it, but a lot of those you're paying way more. And I'm glad that you have something for the middle class because for me, it's like, I can't afford the other stuff, but like this would be something that's in my budget to actually experience the stuff. And then
100%.
I love that.
I worked really hard to get, that box with the gold leaf and everything on it. I worked really hard to get that, for like $2.50. So that way we could price everything, and we don't get the whiskey for free from the distillery. We're marketing their product. We could probably do a lot of that, but at the end of the day, we're working with really small brands. And we know there are other whiskey experience or subscription companies out there, but I always say that their consumers are less sophisticated in the sense that they're selling full bottles that are 20% over MSRP, and they're bottles that you can get in any liquor store. So I don't know what's really special about that, other than, I like this bottle, I can just buy it in one click. That was convenient, but yeah, they just took another $40 from you.
I think what you said about this thing, where you have the experts, or like the people are so self-proclaimed experts, or like they're the big connoisseurs of whiskeys and spirits in general. Cigars are the same way, but I mean, this is fun because you can fool some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun, and I think it can put, obviously most aren't like that, but we all, I feel like, know someone in some field of your life where they're carrying a big ego that they're the expert.
Yeah.
So this is a
good humbling thing.
Potential humbling thing, unless you're looking at the back of the bottles when you're pouring them and you're guessing the proofs, that.
I just went to a tasting where so we call it, they call them tater chasers, the people that are, they're only after Wellers and Blends and
I get those in my store every day.
And yeah, I mean, you get you guys, and you're in a control state, so you can get them at really killer prices, right? So yeah, I mean, look, if I see a Weller single barrel for $60, I'm going to buy it, right? But there's people that are pouring Weller SR, which is the green standard. It's a $30 bottle, and they'll go to a bar and they'll pay $15 for a single of Weller SR, but they'll do the math and they'll be like, oh, I'm paying like, $6 an ounce on your kit. And I'm like, if you're doing the math, then you don't understand the experience. And I wish it was cheap and easy to put other people's whiskey into our bottles, but it isn't, and it ain't, so it's not, we're not in a basement with a funnel trying to just with a bunch of bottles and pouring this stuff and allocated. People want to get allocated. Hey, I chase, that Pappy 23, I got wind from somebody that was, having sex with the girl that works at the hearing place at Costco. That they had some Pappy 23. So that's and I showed up, and it wasn't, the guy's like, this isn't even our system. How do people know about this? And my dad on the way to get one and got Pappy 23 for $400. I mean, that's a $3,000 bottle, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing I do is I pop that bottle and I share it with my dad and I share it with my friends, and we put it in a sample and we send that out to members. So if you're into getting a museum, and look, we have people that buy 3 of every bottle, 1 to drink, 1 to share, and 1 to save, because sometimes there is a custom, unique, one-off blend in our March kit that won't exist anymore by the time we get to April. It's just going to be gone. We're in April now, but at the end of this month, it'll be gone, and people that wait to do it are going to be mad at me, and I get that. But it's the first time this brand had ever done this before. So we only have like 200 bottles of it. And like right now there's 70 of it left. And yeah, I mean, this is a bottle that, even though it's a $120 bottle, we're selling for $80. It's a bottle because it's the first time it's ever been done. It'll probably worth triple that in a year, right? So if you want to, but we only limit it to 1 per person. So if you want to buy that, sell it, and then pay for your membership, you can do that too. I don't really care what people do. Like if you didn't like the bottle, but you can flip it because it's worth something. Yeah, everyone do whatever you want to do. We don't tell people how to drink. We don't tell you not put ice in it. We don't tell you to not mix it. My pet peeve is crushed ice. Like if you put a bunch of crushed ice, like I have a brother-in-law who fast. He fills the tumbler with crushed ice. And one time I took a shower and I came back and they arrived early. And he got the tumbler. The tumbler's just full of the crushed ice and there's whiskey all over it. And I said to my wife, I'm like, what did you pour? She's like, I don't know. And I go over there to just do a little detective sleuthing because he likes the Jim Beam honey, which is cool. Like I keep a bottle of that at my house all the time, just at the ready for him, right? But I didn't know that yet. And he had not just poured the Widow Jane 15-year, but he opened it. He opened it. Like I just got it. I literally hadn't even tried it myself. And I would open it and share it with somebody that would appreciate it. But we put it on the crushed ice, and it's not like it's this cast strength. If you get a cast strength killer, like that sample D, that's high proof. Like you should, high proof, cast strength isn't, let's be tough. And No, it's meant to proof down to your liking. That's the whole point of it. Water's going to actually open up the flavor. That's the whole point of, but if you're putting crushed ice onto a 90 proof whiskey, it's going to be ruined within about a minute and a half, Now, if you're doing ice shots down the luge, great. You know what I mean? Just
do what you want with it, right?
Yeah.
Bobby, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I was in.
You guys still haven't figured out what D is.
I already know. I already figured it out.
He already looked at all the results. I mean,
no, I didn't leave. I'm joking, but I was in San Diego and Carlsbad a few weeks ago for work, and I noticed I stopped at a couple of liquor stores, and I actually sent pictures of these guys of like, you guys have all the top shelf shit, but it's like insane the prices that they're charging you for.
Oh yeah,
like the Pappies were was it a 10-year, $1,400?
It was the old Rip 10 for like
$1,400.
$1,400 or something stupid.
And it's like 120 in Ohio when you can get it.
Do you see it very often? I mean, do you have a system like in Oregon where you go on there and you can see where things are in the morning?
Yeah. So Ohio has a website called ohlq.com. And despite what some people think, it's pretty darn accurate. It updates on the regular. There are some of those bottles, though, that will be like special event type releases. It's not things that get sent out to stores on a weekly basis. Like a lot of the Weller products that you were talking about, those are special drops, or when the state does a lottery and you just have to enter your information in, you're in the lottery, and that gets you the chance to buy that bottle at retail.
Nice. Well, I mean, I was in Oregon and we were traveling. We do a whiskey trip every year, and we were going from we were actually picking up all the whiskey in the lineup from Washington to Oregon to North California. Everything was kind of along that coast, so we just went and picked it all up. And Oregon's a controlled state. There's a website, and there was this one shop in Florence, right on the coast, that had every unicorn ever that you can imagine. It had every Pappy. It had all the E.H. Taylors, like the 17-year, like the things that you never see in the wild, like the wildest. They had every single one that you can imagine. And it was almost like that 80s movie Sure Thing with John Cusack, where he's like heading, which I think was a Rob Reiner movie, where he's just heading to go for this sure thing of this hot chick that's going to have sex with him. And we're like, let's drive it, let's do it. And we drove 3 hours to get there. And I walk in, and it's this very typical liquor store that has, Bullet and Templeton Rye. And we're just looking, and it's like, what the hell? And, my buddy goes, do you have any? He didn't say one of the crazy ones. He's like, you got any of the Weller 12? And she just goes, no, it's just messed up. Those are just things we want. And I'm like, okay, I think you put that you have them when you don't. But we were on the coast of Oregon, and we made the most of it. So we're like, do we go to Bend, Oregon, and we scout out these distilleries, or do we go for these crazy? We're going to go buy all of them. And the drive over there, I will say, the drive to the Costco that had the Pappy 23, not knowing whether it was going to be there or not, that was like being on cocaine. That was literally, I mean, like, racing. I'm in traffic. I mean, like, who else did this dude tell? Like, there's only 12 bottles there. There's no way that it's there. My buddy just got there. There was 2 bottles left, and I'm 25 minutes away. And I'm like, oh my God. And my dad's 5 minutes behind me. And then the dude that was having sex with the girl at the hearing thing, like, his mom showed up right a minute before my dad got there. I'm like, fuck. But we're going to add 2. And I should have just paid somebody. I should have literally just Venmo'd somebody $500 to buy it for $400 from me that was just coming off the checkout. I should have just done that in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like how you glazed over the girl in the Costco dentist office or something, whatever you did there.
Yeah, she was the the little hearing clinic there. But yeah, this guy was, he was having fun with the girl in the hearing, and she saw it, knew he was a whiskey guy, and she just let it pass.
Who did you know in that story? The guy or the girl, or did they?
The guy. I knew the guy.
Okay.
No, my buddy knew the guy.
Buddy knew the guy. No one knew the girl. That is.
And he went there in the morning, and then, I didn't know about this until later in the day while my buddy was already there. He didn't want to tell me because he didn't want to make the drive and be disappointed, because he thought he was going to be disappointed. But he got there, and there was still 2 bottles left. And I'm like, and I got in the car, and I'm ready. And that whole 25 minutes in the car was just like,
you're like on a 24 milligrams in is what you're on.
Oh yeah, I was flying. I was flying. I was like, I'm in Sweden right now doing 24 milligrams in. I'm loaded up.
we can't really do the ratings on this. I do want to mention this cigar here for
what was D?
So are we going to tell what everything, or are we going to wait for?
We'll film in. He's coming back.
He's coming back in.
Okay. What was D?
D was Union Horse Reunion Rye. That's a rye. That is.
I have rye down.
I think it's 121, 122 proof. And the thing about that Reunion Rye, besides the fact that I think for a cast strength 6-year rye, that's $60. That's stellar. Number one. Number two, I had so many members that are really, that were like, I'm really a bourbon guy, but I usually hate ryes. And they're like, I love that rye. So this is a bourbon. I would say Middle West Pumpernickel Rye is another great example. I always have it in my house. Someone always comes over. They say, "Do you have a bourbon?" I'm like, "You mean a whiskey?" And they say, "No, I only drink bourbon." And I pour them a Middle West Pumpernickel Rye. And they go, love it. "This is an amazing bourbon." I'm like, "It's a rye. So stop saying that you only drink bourbon and stop thinking that ryes taste like bullet." You know what I mean? Ryes are actually the most nuanced whiskey of any of them. Like it could be floral, it could be fruity, it can be spicy, right? It can have baking spices. But
so I will tell you, if you really enjoy Middle West rye that much, try and get your hands on the Archer Eland ryes. So that's done by Wendy, who is the blender for Middle West. So she blended the cask, all the cask strengths that Middle West has out right now.
Right.
She's actually using their ryes and blending those. She's got a series of 4 of them right now.
Archer Eland, that's the name of the brand? Or?
Yep, Archer Eland. And it's a blue bottle. They all range, I think, between 104 and 126 proof. And like they're all $60 to $80, I think. And the $80 bottle is age dated 7-year, 126 proof.
Wow. No, count me in. Yeah, send me a link afterwards.
There you go.
I'm all in on that, and I love the Middle West rye. I love, if I see a bottle, then I'm like, oh, and there's Ohio on it. I know it's Middle West, right? So I'll tell you what each one was. So the one is actually the millet.
Wow.
No shit.
So,
wow. That's what millet grain tastes like. And,
wow.
I mean, I would say, each of these whiskey don't take anything like the others, right? They're on kind of an adventure for sure. But that bottle, pull up that bottle. It's the most gorgeous bottle you'll ever see. And, it's funny. Every time it comes in, and our distributor got mad at me because he's like, "You can't take all the allocated." I'm like, "Is anyone else ordering this?" He said, "Well, not yet." I went, "Well, just give it all to me because I'm going to take it all."
What's the brand again?
So this is Koval, actually. So Koval is so Koval is very well distributed. It's a kosher whiskey out of Chicago. Very passionate owners of the brand, really cool people. And I know about Koval, and the problem is Koval's everywhere, and also just some of their bourbons and ryes. It does taste a little young. It's a little grain forward. I don't know if people like that. And I said, look, I like you guys, but can you give us something really special and unique? And they said, well, we have a special Thresh and Winnow series. In fact, I got their single malt in my upper corner.
Is that what it is? Is that what we're drinking?
No, it's not a single malt, but it's the Thresh and Winnow, and this is their millet. And here, I'll show you the same bottle.
Their gins are fantastic. So are the bottles.
So this is the single malt bottle. It's the same bottle, but
oh wow, that's beautiful. Wow, look at the detail on the glass.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Gorgeous. It's phenomenal. It's got this
I think the only thing from them available in Ohio are the 2 gins that they do.
Oh.
Those just came into Ohio within, I'd say, this quarter.
Their gin's really good. Yeah, the rep was in here and was pouring their gins, and then poured me single malt. I'm not really a big single malt in general person, but I loved it. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And the millet, super unique, really interesting. So I just love it when we get something, and we got it. Our members got it, I think, 3 months before it even hit the market. So we got,
oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, we got like 16 cases of that before anybody else did in the country.
Damn,
nice.
And then now it's kind of starting to catch fire behind the scenes, and I'm worried I'm not gonna be able to get more of it. So I think I've reordered it like 4 or 5 times now, and I think we got the last of it. So I'll probably have it in our store for another 4 or 5 months before it's all gone again. But great bottle, just in terms of the design and everything, but really unique whiskey. And I'd say a lot of people that are new in their whiskey journey love this because, if they have someone at their house and they want to pour them something unique and special, there you go.
Yeah.
So what was B then?
B was the Kansas City whiskey. This is Jay Rieger out of Kansas City. I think at the distillery it's $50. I think our members get it for $45. And so there's 2% of it is a 15-year sherry, and then it's a 4-year. So it's they're putting, they're actually splashing sherry. Once you put sherry into the whiskey, it's not whiskey anymore, right? So that's why it's this Kansas City style. It's kind of this sidestep, but it fulfills the need for, you don't have to have the word whiskey on it. We got a bottle over here, Iowa Legendary. And this guy's grandmother was the most well-known female bootlegger in the history of Prohibition, and was supplying Al Capone. And there's only 4 ingredients in it. There's water, there's bread rye, there's yeast, and there is sugar cane. And once you put sugar in, now this is the exact recipe that they were drinking in the Al Capone era, made on a 26-gallon still. And in 30-gallon barrels, because you can run with 30-gallon barrels, you can't run with 53. And he found the stills buried in the property. He found the specs for it, and he built like 20 of these 26-gallon stills and made it exactly the way. That whole Templeton, story was all bullshit, right? Like, they were just getting MGP stuff and saying, "Oh, this is what Al Capone drank." No, it wasn't. This was what Al Capone drank. The train stopped right at the back of their house. Now, if you look at it, it says Iowa Legendary Rye. It doesn't have the word whiskey anywhere on the bottle because it's not whiskey. Because once you put sugar into it, it's not whiskey anymore.
Right.
But for me, that story's killer. And in a blind, the Bourbon Junkies. I don't know if you know who those guys are, but Dan and Sean, they did a whole video. So they were doing our tastings for a while, and then they did a video on just Iowa Legendary, and it got like $250,000 hits like within a week, just because it was so wild and unique. And they taste whiskey all the time. They never had a whiskey like that before. And the owner called me. He's like, "Did you guys do something? Like, our site's almost like going down. There's so many people on our site right now."
Wow.
I don't think so, but I guess we did do something. So that's always cool. That's what's great about the whiskey community, as you guys know, in the podcast world and all this, that there is a camaraderie. There's a competitive element, but there's a camaraderie.
Oh, yeah.
When Heaven Hills, distillery burns down, people don't, start cheering. They go, "Hey, you need some product? Can we help you out?" Buffalo Trace had that big flood that happened, destroyed a lot of their product, and people reach out and they say, "Hey, how can we help you?" And it's a rare industry. The wine industry is not like that. The beer industry is not like that. The whiskey industry, we traveled through Texas about a year ago, and they're like, "Where else have you been?" And we're like, "Oh, we're at Ryan Root." And they're like, "Oh, Iron Root." And they're like, "We love those guys." They're competing against them, right? But they're rooting for Texas whiskey, and it's really cool. I mean, you don't see that in other industries.
Cigar world is a little bit like that, honestly.
Yeah, recent. I think it was last year. Big prominent cigar manufacturer in Nicaragua. One of their facilities burned down, and then some of the other companies offered for them to use their space for their rollers, like actually bring the cigar rollers to their factory to help make still their cigars, but at some of these other factories.
Yeah.
How cool
So similarities between the two of them.
I love that.
All right, so we're on C.
C is Highwire out of South Carolina. This is the bourbon.
Okay.
Really?
And I think this is bottled and bond too. Yeah,
Very eye-opening.
This is the Jimmy Red bottled and bond straight bourbon whiskey from Highwire Distilling. And this Jimmy Red corn is a varietal of corn that there was only 2 years of corn left in existence. And they brought it back and then started growing fields and then getting farmers. They have 4 different. It's funny that I've been telling them that they should do, there's like a Nashville statement, or there's like what is it, on the Four Roses, there's like the yeast and the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should put the field like on the bottle, because each field does have a different vibe to it, but it's the same variety of corn, and that's why it's this unique bourbon. It's a bourbon, but it's got a very unique profile to it.
Yeah.
That was something actually that when we met Eddie Russell, that was something I had asked him, because coming from the cigar world mainly, it was all about where the tobacco is coming from, what regions and what the seed varietals are and stuff like that. Where I asked him the question about that, and he's like, no one ever really asked that, as far as where they get the corn from, where they get the rye from. The rye, I think you hear a little bit more because of it's not usually locally grown, where
right,
Northeast. The corn, yeah, right. And so it's interesting that you say that, because I think that's the next step of evolution. I think of the people that are really dialing in to differentiate themselves, to know more about what's going into this bottle, is that where it all starts. It's the farming,
and the seed
left out so much.
Yeah.
If you go to Whiskey Acres in DeKalb, Illinois, these guys are real. So most people are sourcing, right? Their grain from somewhere. So Frey Ranch out of Fallon, Nevada, they're real whiskey farmers, right? So
love their stuff.
Yeah, Colby and Ashley. We did a barrel pick with them that was in our March 2023 lineup, with a cooperage that they never used, so it had a flavor profile that was like totally left of center. We're going to do a barrel pick of rye with them at some point, just because we love their product. I think their rye is one of the best in the industry by far. And the other one that we know,
and Jeff the Creed.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Jeff the Creed, because they do, it's called Bloody Butcher corn.
Bloody Butcher corn, yeah.
But are they growing that, or are they sourcing it?
They grow it.
They grow it.
At least the corn. I don't know about the other grains.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked to Jeff, but I was kind of like, hey, if we're going to get it in the lineup, we'd want to do the Bloody Butcher. But they're like, well, we only have so much of that. And we're like, okay. So we might revisit that at some point. But Whiskey Acres, they call themselves seed engineers. So they're really coming up with, and their whole thing is, people say grain to glass, they say seed to spirit. And so it all starts with not just the germination of the seed, but the genetics. And they're genetically
farming, man.
Coming up. Yeah, it's real farmers coming up with real cool stuff. And so we had them in the lineup, and they have a Bloody Butcher that's, I think, by itself it's great, but we made a lion's mane cocktail with that thing. Nice. Best cocktail I've ever had in my entire life. Still to this day. And I had a guy who was serving at the Blind Barrels party. People still talk about that cocktail. But their whiskey, I would say, when it was in the lineup, it was a 4-year bourbon, and there was a grain forward element to it, but we didn't look at that like that was a flaw. We wanted people to be able to taste the grain because it was something unique. I think Wilderness Trail is another great example. If you go visit Dr. Pat over there, I mean, their White Dog's off the charts good. Like just by itself, right out the still, phenomenal. And that's always a really good sign that killer grain, killer process in the way they're making their distillate.
Bobby, being kind of, like I said, newer to it, I learned a lot. We had a smoking tin event a few weeks ago here, and we had one of the main guys from a higher brand cigar, Eric Espinoza, and he was talking about, I learned a lot about the soil and like how you have to let it rest and like grow something different each year to allow it to be able to cultivate those certain grains or, tobacco leaves or whatever it is that makes that taste that much better. He was talking about Cuban, and the problem is they keep growing it year in and year out, and they're not letting it rest, and so it's kind of getting
their topsoil's getting
Cuba. The one thing you left out, just to touch on that real quick, is that they usually will grow something else, right, in the meantime, right? So Cuba, actually, some of the farms like Hector Louise and stuff, they'll grow peanuts.
Okay.
They'll grow peanuts in the off season, so they'll kind of get a little bit of life back into the soil. You'll get a little. That's the farming side of it, right? But I mean, you only have certain growing seasons in any industry. But yeah,
and then like Central America, some of those tobacco leaves are grown from volcanic soil, and it gets a spicier taste to it. It'd be interesting to see. Do they ever do anything like that down there with like corn or anything, or is it not really viable?
Some of the farmers will cycle other things onto it. But yeah, just to do that, I think some of the, more experienced farmers like you're talking about, these guys that know what they're really doing. I mean, there's some culture there as far as passed down generation to generation to keep the soil as fresh as you can. I think there's other farmers that don't do it, that they just try to maximize and they just keep regrowing the same product, product on it, and they're trying to do it, and you lose some of the I guess the purity to it. It's ironic. You lose what you're going for there, right? Sure. Because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna keep growing the same thing over and over again. Well, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about farming for sure.
Tell us about D, if you would. I'm sorry, just to keep us on.
Sorry,
yeah. D's Union Horse. So they're out of where the hell are they out of? I think this is the 6th year, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 121 proof. Awesome. And they're out of Lenexa, Kansas. So this is a barrel strength rye. Oh, our members get this for $55. Dang. Okay. I mean, a 6-year cask strength rye, special release, and these were siblings that decided to start a whiskey brand and, really good at it. I mean, like I said, I think this is a bourbon lover's rye. It really is. The aroma, the nose is vibrant from the start. Nice wood elements lead to rich wintergreen, snickerdoodle, dark licorice, vanilla, boysenberries. The taste, layers of sweet spice, cinnamon, mace, dark brown sugar. There's a lot of sweetness on this. Fermented blackberries, canned blueberries, good tannins. A rounded and long finish leaves you with notes of toffee, plum juice, buttered cinnamon toast, and raisins. So you can see my guys.
I got cherry.
So for me, when
exactly, it's like
it's everything on this chart right here.
When I first smelled that, it just screamed rye for me.
I was way off on all this. It's always a humbling and educating experience doing this type of stuff here with the blind taste test, especially when it's so different. Like you've got stuff out there that it's almost, and like you said, you kind of like to. What's that?
I don't know. It's on the screen now.
What is it? Is that on our site?
No,
it's not on mine. That's on yours.
It's on Sean's phone.
Okay. I'm like, is there a porn site on out there? What's happening?
Is there?
No.
Do you ever get people that are? Okay. Anyway, forget what I said. Do you ever get people that are kind of almost like nervous to do the blind taste because they're so set in their ways with?
Or they're afraid to be wrong.
Yeah, they're afraid to be wrong, or they're like disappointed and like, oh my God, and like it kind of screws their head a little bit.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. A lot of times we'll have, first of all, like 30% of the bourbon drinkers out there, whiskey drinkers out there are women, right? So we have a ton of women members, and
nice.
Some that are vocal, and then there's some that are newer, and they're kind of like, well, I don't know anything, and it's like, no, women actually have the best palates. It's not even close. Like they pull out the best notes. They can say things. So we do our live tastings. It's great because we have the chat going, and people will be throwing in their notes and their thoughts and everything in the chat. There's jokes going on, and we're obviously on camera. We're in the front, but we then pull people up to the camera, and sometimes people are afraid to say. The reality is the brain will interpret. So you might say almond, and I might say cherry. The reality is it's both of our brains interpreting the same chemical in a different way. So it really depends. As Mars says, his girlfriend's always right.
He also says this.
I'm never right.
This is unrelated to what we're talking about.
Yeah,
obviously.
He's never right. He has a great liquor store honeypot. Like he's always finding some cool bottles and barrels that I'm like, you got to send us. He sent us some samples once, and it was like, I don't know, that was in the weirdest container that he put wax. It was almost like. It was like the wax that Madonna dripped on William Dafoe in Body of Evidence or whatever it was. And I was like, what is this? Is this even real wax? This is even a real container. Is this safe to drink? Did you wash this? What are we drinking? Is this something going to kill us in here, Mario? What did you do?
Maybe.
But people are sometimes a little reticent to want to say what they think it is. And we try to dispel that right off the bat where we say, hey, we're wrong all the time.
Yeah.
As Mark can attest on our show, I mean, my whiskey wizards, my spirits guides, my chief tasting officer is in last place right now on he's second to last place, but within the tasting competition that we're doing. And sometimes, but he's great at picking out those flavors and those notes. But we had, so I don't know if you guys have heard of Southern Distilling, Southern Star out of Statesville, North Carolina.
I have not.
I mean, maybe one of the best weeded bourbons that you've never had.
No shit.
And we have, like, right now, we have single barrel. We have barrel pick Southern Star cask strength weeded bourbon for $50. Like, it's literally wholesale is more than that. I was just able to get a bunch of it because it was out here in California. The distributor booked out. But they were in our lineup in December with the single malt. And if you put it in a blind, very few people guess it as a single malt, because most people, when they make single malts, they do all the old world techniques and they try to make it taste as much as a Scotch as possible, whether it's peated or not, whether there's smoke or not. They try to do the old world style. Whereas they said, we're going to make this single malt like a bourbon. And I'm telling you, you get 20 people in a room. There might be one or two people that pick out the single malt. Everyone else is picking bourbon and rye. And we love that. That like, that's craft right there. That's doing something different, going off in a different direction. And that's a bottle that you can only get if you're at the distillery, that our members can get. Because I talked to the owner, he's a good buddy, and I was like, can we have something just really cool? And he's like, well, we really like this single. Bruzel was out there. He did Bruzel Fest or something on the Southern Star property. Like
North Carolina.
Yeah, it's in North Carolina, and like 1,000 people came out. They had a big event center or whatever. And they are all picking barrels of that single malt. And, it's 7 or 8 years. And, they'd made it. They just didn't know if it was ever going to be good because they just did something different and they don't know. We had a bottle. There's a bottle there's a bottle here that is my bottle. It's the only bottle left of this Southern Star that was a barrel pick that we did with them. And the owner sent us like 5 samples. And he said, don't look at the color, whatever you do when you're picking, don't look at the color, put them in, non-translucent glasses. And I went, okay, I got some opaque glasses. We can do that. And sure enough, this one was just wild. For being a 4-year, it was so, it tasted like it was this crazy, really expensive 12-year. And it was dark. It's the darkest whiskey I've ever seen to this day. And it was the sister barrel of the barrel that won the New York Spirits competition outright. And Pete, the owner, was hoping we weren't going to pick that barrel, but of course we did. He'd already bottled it. He was going to give it away as gifts for the rest of the year or whatever. So he sent us all the ones that were bottled, and I turned all those empty bottles into candles, which was really cool. But this what we then found out when we were visiting them, which we didn't know, is we visited them last October, is those 2 barrels were totally experimental in the sense that it was their distillate, but they were these barrels where they groved out the inside of it to create more surface area with the wood. And that's what made it really amazingly dark and rich and had the wood influence of a 12-year instead of a 4-year.
Yeah, more surface area would absolutely do that. Mm-hmm. No, I think what you guys are doing and with this, I think you're ahead of like the next phase of the, like I said, the I guess evolution of the bourbon world, because we're seeing obviously a lot of the news of some, you call it downsizing. Let's just keep it simple there, right? Where, post, again, early 2020s where the boom happened, you don't know how to, from a business standpoint, you don't know how to cycle that. You don't know how to where are we going from here? Can you sustain it? What money do you put into it? A lot of companies did put, a lot of money into that and expanded and it cycles. It slows down a little bit because, once you maybe can keep up with some of the basic secondary market, some of those products, and you put it out there a little bit more, they're not selling as much, right? There's not the demand, there's not the secondary market. So, I mean, where you guys are at with the craft side of it, hopefully that will continue to promote some of, like you said, some of the lesser known. I mean, you've rattled off some distilleries that we've never heard of, and we're no experts. We're I'd call it enthusiasts, but it's one of those things where every time you meet someone in a interest of yours, whether it be like, this with spirits or cigars or anything really, it's like you're always going to meet someone that knows more.
Yeah.
Always. And it has been in longer than you. So this is something that I think possibly could be that next phase, right? You're going to see different distributions of smaller projects that have a higher demand because, it's the same as like, Coors, right? Back in the day, it's like, oh, you can't get it, east of the Mississippi. And then, this is the greatest fucking beer ever.
You go on the beer run,
next
right?
thing you know, it's like, you get a 20 ounce for 99 cents everywhere, on happy hour. So it's one of those things where it'll be interesting to see what happens with what you're doing and how that educates. And it's cool that you have that second phase. I do want to, if we can, while we still have you, because we're running low on that time, we are smoking. We'll do this brief because I do want to highlight that before we're all out of it. It is, you mentioned Rocky Patel. So this is Rocky Patel, the Edge 20th anniversary. It came out actually, I think, a year or so before the 20th, technically. But the Edge it wasn't call it a bundled cigar or short filler, but the original Edge was a Sumatra wrapper, I believe, coming out of their Honduran factory originally. This is something that, and the Edge, if you're not familiar with it, the Edge it was just this foot band. There was no nice, primary band or fancy packaging. It was just a foot band on there. It was printed. It would be the Edge light before you couldn't call it light. Now it's Connecticut. You had the Sumatra Maduro. Like, it basically started with the one. It was around a $5 cigar. So it was less expensive than everything else that he was putting out at that time, and would be coming in like these 100 count crate looking boxes almost. So nothing really fancy about it at all. And then it expanded to, I think, like 8 different blends with 8 different wrappers on it. Rocky's big on the age of his wrapper leaf. He always boasts that. And this was no different. This was a little bit more. The Edge had probably creeped up to about $7, $8, all the Edge products. This came out around $12 to $13, so nothing crazy. But it came in, as you see on the screen, there's a beautiful box. The packaging was definitely higher end. He kind of put his Rocky Patel well-known touch to it to make it a very beautiful presentation. It has since been adjusted down from the $12 to $13 as part of a restructuring of it. Not necessarily re-release, but it's only been out for maybe 3 years, but they kind of lowered it $1 or $2.
It's a great deal.
So, and it has a 10-year-old Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper on it.
Nailed that one.
Did you? Yeah.
So
that was an ode to the original one. And then you've got you got some Nicaraguan tobacco in there as well. But it's something that it's a sleeper cigar, I think, in his portfolio.
Sure.
It's kind of one of the reasons that I picked this cigar for tonight is not knowing what we were getting into, and obviously pretty much missing on all 4 of these things. I think it kind of held up to all of them. You know what I mean? The cigar was right there, medium bodied. It's nothing too strong. I didn't think it would overpower anything that we were going to have. I don't think it was going to be completely lost on anything we had. Very woody. Kind of cedary there. But yeah, that's the cigar we're smoking. I know we spent a lot of time talking about blind barrels, which is the point of having you on. We appreciate that, but I do still want to highlight that the Edge 20th anniversary. And I mean, again, I think the packaging's Rocky's really known for. He's got his more classic original packaging on things like you mentioned. I think probably would have been the 1999 Connecticut with a white label on it that you were probably smoking. Very kind of simple, plain boxes. But then in more recent years, he's really, really dressed up everything. And to have this kind of a box, because you only see the picture, but to see that it's a very high-end presentation. The bands on it are very nice. It looks like a more expensive cigar.
Sure.
On our shelf right now, you're looking at like around $11 in Ohio. So that's after tobacco tax. So just something really kind of a product
probably
that we haven't really. What's
California, that? Probably 40 in California.
You guys love,
it's the worst state to be in for tobacco.
I bought some cigars a few weeks ago. It's ridiculous.
Taxes are tax up over here. So he's like, why don't you send cigars? I'm like, for us to literally get, this is the only state you don't want to be in if you want to be in the tobacco business.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. Tobacco is a great example, kind of to speak to your point, that's been, less people are smoking tobacco. They're doing more vapes, and they found different ways to do that. Now they're doing Zins, right? But if you look at cigars and cigarettes, they kind of, went a little bit, not south, but there was a downturn on them, right? In the last, 10, 20 years, the generational shift. But that doesn't mean that there still wasn't cigar lovers out there. Same thing with whiskey. The whiskey lovers haven't gone anywhere. It's just some of these brands they just invest, just like Black Button, Western. There's a bunch that just literally ramped up as if this boom was going to hockey stick into forever, and then took on a ton of debt, and then the demand crept down, and then now they can't meet the debt that they created in doing that. But then there's craft brands. I mean, look at Penelope. They're still crushing it. There's a bunch of craft brands that are growing at that interesting rate and didn't scale too fast. That are out there still doing really, really well. and a lot of craft brands, but there's some that just tried to go big and shoot for the fences right at the wrong time, and they timed the market wrong. And it's unfortunate because some of those brands are really stellar too.
There are, and it's this business side of it, right? I mean, that's just how it is. And then, so before we lose you, I know you only got a few more minutes with us, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
awesome. Not to kick you off, I just know that you had said that we're coming up on that 2-hour mark for you. This is just the intro into, and we'll maybe not last this long on part 2 after he signs off, but this is what we're talking about. It's kind of in kind of a praise to you and what you're doing out there. But I kind of wanted to, if you don't mind sharing, put it at you, but I'm going to say part 2, tasting blind. What else in life are we tasting blind without realizing it? How often are we making decisions based on labels before we try it? And how often are our opinions actually ours, or are they shaped by outside factors?
Inception.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, not knowing your background, what you did before this, but I'm sure everyone's like, man, that's so cool. You own this business. You founded this business. Like, you know, I would love to do something like that. Going into this, did you feel like you were going into this blind? Was it more of a calculated risk? Did you study up on what other people were doing? Or was this a passion project that you were getting support from and saying, like, you know, you should do it? And so you just went all in? Because you were talking about like a year, you know, on just the packaging for your.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't raise a ton of money to start this company because I knew how risky it was. So I put in a third of the money that was to start the company. You know, it was low 6 figures to start this company, and 2/3 of that had to get parked just to do all the stuff. We didn't actually have a marketing budget built in because I'd never done e-commerce before. So a lot of this was blind completely. My backdrop is I've run an education company for the last 25 years. I'm the premier guy in Southern California to get kid into top school through test scores and application essay storytelling and amplifying leadership and things like that. And I've been a filmmaker, so I've made documentaries, you know, and screenplays. And, you know, it's funny, you talk about things that we try blind. You know, like I went and saw Hail Mary on opening weekend when it went out just because, you know, I'm curious like this.
You're a Gosling fan. It's fine. I like him too.
I'm a Gosling fan, and but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't read the book. I didn't really know. I know it was a space movie, and I went in and I went in blind, and I came out. I'm like, oh my god, it's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. Like epic, you know, it's a 2.5-hour movie that you wish was longer, and rarely do you ever say that unless it's like a Scorsese movie, right? It's like Casino or something.
Right.
That just came out, right?
Yeah, it's in the theaters. I think now.
That looks awesome.
And this was, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm the son of an inventor. My dad had over 200 patents. I was around a risk taker my whole life. And, you know, part of any idea when someone hasn't done it before, you have to figure out why. So when my buddy was doing blind tastings during COVID to kind of connect us while we were all disconnected, I'm like, this is a business. Nobody's ever done this. And I'm like, why? So I kept calling alcohol beverage control attorneys. You can call any attorney you want, by the way, and do a free hour-long consultation. This is just a great life hack. And I did, you know, the first call was like a 6-minute call, and the guy's like, there's 7 federal laws you're breaking. You can't just take whiskey, put it in a bottle, and start sending it out. I went, okay. And so I did 17 more free hour-long consultations with different ABC attorneys until I figured out a way to do it. You know, raised the money, spent a whole year, and then came up with another way to do it, I have about 6 ways to do it now. We're doing the best way that works for us. But it's a restrictive space. You know, spirits and beer are still heavily restricted in a lot of capacities, you know, whether you're a distiller or a retailer or whatever it is. So navigating that has been difficult. We are going to expand into tequila. We actually are working on a rum one right now that later this year. You know, we trademarked the name The Smallest Batch. The smallest a small batch can be with just 2 barrels. And we're going to do something that's never been done. We're going to take a barrel from one distillery and a barrel from a totally different distillery and smash them together and create something that's a unique one-off offering. Wow. And, you know, so we're just going to do a bunch of stuff that we think is cool, and hopefully other people think it's cool too. You know, I mean, like anything, you know, whenever I made a documentary, you know, you run the risk of making a very expensive home movie because you may not get distribution. It may not be good. It may not, you know, so I made a documentary called The Business of Amateurs that took on the NCAA. I was a former college football player at USC, and I was in the film school there and in the business school there. And I took on the NCAA, and I set out to change the system. And the film man, it almost didn't come out. We almost didn't get the insurance to get the distribution. I mean, at the last second, because we did a lot of risky things in that film. But luckily, it was distributed. It was well received. It did really well, and it would played a pivotal role in changing the rights for college athletes from NIL and other aspects.
Yes.
So that's something that was a massive, risky undertaking, because I'm giving up my time and energy for something that may never be worth it. Yeah. And that's, I think, the scariest thing was anybody that's an entrepreneur that's starting a business, especially in an industry that they've never been in before. It's like anything, you can figure out and you can learn how to do it, but there aren't, there's not a YouTube tutorial about how do you start a blind whiskey tasting subscription. And I mean, I'll tell you, enclosures, just making custom glass was a nightmare. Getting the enclosure to work with that and not become problematic, whole other nightmare. Wow. Building a website, I'm still dealing with different ways to make sure our website converts, but there's technical things behind the scene that are really difficult to navigate. So, you kind of get thrown all these things all the time. And luckily we created something that people join because of the blind, but they honestly stay because they don't want to miss out on the next lineup. Our curation is, I think, top shelf in what my guys are able to put together. And the killer prices and all that. So, we've grown from 200 people to over 5,000 in less than 4 years.
Damn.
And without taking on any debt. And I mean, we only started the company with 150 grand, and wow. So a lot of that is sacrifice. I told all our investors, I'm not going to take a salary until we hit 2,500 members. And some people are like, oh, is this a hobby? And I'm like, I'm spending a long fucking time on this hobby.
A lot of money on the hobby too.
You're like, oh, so is this full time? I'm like, yeah, I do 2 full-time jobs, and I'm a great dad. I just don't get to watch TV that much, and I, it's a part of it. I was working on this video for this pitch for this big distributor for this restaurant, till 1 a.m. every night for the last 2 weeks, on top of doing all this other stuff. And the reality is you can sit there. It's like, when you get out of school and you talk to people, especially like the 10-year reunion in high school, when everybody's like, I'm working 70 hours a week. Like nobody gives a shit, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many hours I work a week because I don't count it. Honestly, like, I'm in a really cool space right now with a company that I got to breathe life into, with members that appreciate that we want, that what we actually do for them, with small brands that we get to showcase and support. And I get to try really cool whiskeys all the time. I don't know. I'm working my ass off, but I'm not really working, and
do what you love.
Yeah. I'm 100%. Whether I've made a film or I've done this, or even get kids into college, I got to play a pivotal role in the catalyst of somebody's life. I can't go out to dinner with my wife without running into a family or a student from the last 20 years. And I'm lucky that I grew up with somebody that was a risk taker, that I saw the dark side of it. I saw the panic, and I saw the anxiety and the fear, and it didn't normalize it for me, but I wasn't surprised when it happened to me. I'm not surprised when I wake up at 5 a.m. and I want to throw up. You know what I mean? Sure. And not from drinking.
Not from examples, right?
Can you tell us the name? Can you tell us what the name of the video or like the documentary, like something we can find somewhere?
It's called The Business of Amateurs.
Okay.
Yeah, The Business of Amateurs, and I've made a couple other films, but that's the one I'd say I'm the most proud of. I mean, we shot, 77 days in 23 cities for $20,000.
Damn!
Wow.
And then the editor just lived at my house for 4 months, and the film. Like any film, sometimes you're making it and then it evolves as you're making it, as you're editing it. And, a good friend of mine, passed away while we were making the film. That was a subject in the film, and that changed the film. And there was a lot of things that we couldn't fit into the film. But like anything, if you're passionate about, passion doesn't mean love. Passion, the Latin root of passion is patai, which means to suffer. And if you like something enough, then you're willing to suffer for it. And that's what any business, that's what it is to be a parent. That's what it is to, you're constantly making sacrifices, and you're suffering for the sake of something that you believe in. And that's really what Blind Barrels is.
I want to be like Bobby when I grow up. You're inspiring, brother. You are. Man. It's very cool.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah,
no, I'm glad I got to meet you too. And when you guys are out in Southern California for Disneyland, come by. You know,
right.
I mean, we're in Westlake Village. You know, we got Josh Brolin, guys. We got Josh Brolin over in Westlake. Okay, Brolin. He's got a big head, and you see him in and out. He's cool dude. We got Britney Spears too over here. We got Wayne Gretzky.
As long as you have a map of the stars, we'll visit. All right. Do a little tour.
If you go down to Rodeo, you go down there. That's another hour away, but you'll see some of those people there too. Those people aren't. I will say the thing about LA and out here is just nobody's from here. So like LA gets a bad rap because like everybody's an asshole. I'm like, well, everybody that's not from here, everybody that thinks LA is this fake place, and then they're drawn to that, and then they become that. But everybody lives here. It's just like most people think I'm from the Midwest because I'm friendly and I'm make friends with strangers wherever I go. And I'm kind of a big dude. I'm like 6'5", 260. So I'm kind of intimidated some people. But in LA, it's just kind of like everybody's like, what does this guy want from me? That and it's like,
why is he being so nice?
Yeah.
Can we just be friends? Can we just hang out? What's wrong?
Yeah.
So
we drink some whiskey together.
Exactly. Come on. What are you pouring?
For me, whiskey, I really can't be that much.
By the way, let me tell you about my business, Blind Barrels. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, believe me. The barrier to entry is you got to figure out how we do what we do, and then you got to have the the gumption to pull. Well, you got to beat us, right? But you got to have the gumption to figure out how you can get all these critical partnerships to actually pull it off.
I think that's the most impressive part of it, other than obviously everything you mentioned of going all in on it and everything you're doing to build this brand. But it is just the your ability to network with and work with all of these distillers, and obviously willingness to travel and meet all these people just so you can put together this, as you call it, it's a passion project now, business. I mean, it's very impressive.
It's the fun though thing. It's funny, like getting to hang out with. I mean, we were doing a tasting, and so we did that custom blend with Pinhook, and we're tasting with everybody, and I'm texting the owner of Pinhook while we're doing the tasting, and then he's like, "You want me to jump on?" I'm like, "Yeah, jump on." And we got the owner of Pinhook for like 45 minutes, and we're hanging out with him, and when we were doing a blend, it was like, okay, he could send us samples, or we could just trust him to come up with the blend. And I was like, guys, what if we just fly out there? We got some airline miles, and I'm like, if there was a silent auction to where you would go to New Orleans and blend with the master blender from Pinhook and make your own custom blend, like people paid tens of thousands of dollars for that,
sure.
and to go out there and have that experience, and went to this amazing dinner, and then we golfed with them the next day. We were there 25 hours. We flew in and flew out. I mean, what a great work trip. You know what I mean? That was just a phenomenal experience. And I was telling my guys, I'm like, we don't, it's like anything in life. Like, oh, I have to do this, and I have to get up early, and I have to. No, we get to do all of this.
That's cool.
Awesome.
I like that.
And that means I, unfortunately get to deal with, the tariffs going up, and that dealing with that, or I get to deal with the government shutdown, or I get to deal with trying to solve this distillery that didn't do the stuff that they needed to do so I can actually have their bottle and sell it. Like, there's always curveballs that you deal with that you're in control of, you're not in control of. Yep. And all we can do is, do our best at anything that we're doing. And so we're super proud of what we created. And we try to have those moments of, instead of worrying about where we're not yet, we try to have gratitude for how far we've come and where we currently are.
Nice.
It's amazing. I appreciate you sharing all that. I appreciate you sharing these great samples and the blind barrels tasting here. This is amazing. The inception.
Yeah, you may get a new member out of this, buddy.
All right. Well, we can ship to Ohio. We can get it out there. So
perfect.
And Bobby Stash is coming. So there's going to be just some killer, literally allocated bottles that will be less than you'll even be able to get for in your control state. Cool. How about that?
There you go. Yeah. Well, cheers to you. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
The rest of
I really appreciate it.
So much.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Pleasure, brother.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's do I don't want to say a rush by any means. We got a little bit of time. You guys got a little time?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So with this, I mean, awesome experience. Again,
yeah, that was amazing.
Blown away by the high-end presentation. I already told him that, but I mean, just looking at it, it's just really cool. I was really blown away because it came in, just a about that size of a cardboard box. I opened it up, and that was covered in plastic. I opened it up, and you get this gold leaf top to it. I'm like,
it's legit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
legit.
very, very cool. But yeah, let's do a little part 2 here.
Go ahead. I got a buddy, my friend Vinny Gambino. He's my new job. He works with me, and he's on YouTube right now because he's on Facebook. So I've already been filling him in on like the whole what's going on with how we do things. He's a big cigar enthusiast. He just started out. So when he was in town a few weeks ago, I sent him home with some stuff to kind of get him started. And you can tell he's got like the bug now. He's very passionate. He wants to learn. So he's tuning in, and I think he's the only viewer on YouTube, but he is so eager to learn. And I told him about the life topic already and texted him. So he's excited to be able to, join in if he can. And I'll keep an eye on the YouTube and see if he says anything, and
I'll see the comments up there. We'll see them pop up on there as well. So
Vinny, glad you're on and watching this, brother.
Steve, let me see your other glass, please.
My other glass, you got it. Am I not supposed to look at it? We're still blind taste testing.
I'm gonna be blind drunk here if I keep
drinking. Easy.
I'll be at work tomorrow, Vinny. Don't worry.
Perfect.
My boss doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
He's my boss. So.
All right. So you guys can kind of see where I'm going with this. But
yep.
I mean, honestly, the first thing I thought when you put that up there was, marketing and advertising. Like you see ads and it kind of draws you to something. You're like, I'm kind of curious about that now. And, if it's a new food item, next time you go to the grocery store, all of a sudden you see, a cardboard cutout or something, or some sort of display front and center. Like, oh, I just saw something about that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now I see an actual display.
Yeah. Algorithms are going to be a huge factor of this too, because
the digital way. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you show interest in one thing, it's like you're going to get bombarded with it.
How often are we making decisions based on labels before we even experience something? Obviously, that's easy for the bourbon stuff. We're talking about the whiskey and the cigars and stuff like that. We talk about that. But anything else you guys can think of that would be relevant to, how often you're making a decision based on the presentation, right?
Yeah.
Or the labels of doing something, when you buy something.
Yeah. It's based on, like for me, a lot of it's like a lot of things I look for based on health, or, like it's real easy for the whole weight loss. You can try this herb, or you can do that, or you can, I'm seeing like mushrooms that are not psychedelic, but they do give you something, and it's like easy to go down that road. Or if you do this coffee mushroom, I'm a sucker for a lot of that shit. I end up buying some of that stuff. And, and I think that I've noticed a lot of these things, the way they sell these things, it's such always like a quick fix, or it's
I got some magic beans for you.
Yeah. And I can get the, if I take this and you read the reviews, like, oh, I started this and it's like, I've already lost weight, or I've already felt this, or I've already done that. And I've noticed a lot of things, especially on things that you try that are herbal or whatever. It's not like an instant, like, oh, I just took the pill and 2 minutes later I feel like this. It's a very subtle change. And all of a sudden you look back and go, oh, for example, I'm taking the human growth hormone because my body didn't produce it. So, doing shots every night. Yeah, it sucks. It's not a big deal. But now, 4 months later, now I'm reaping the benefits from it. Now I'm feeling the changes. I'm feeling with, and it's not that whole, like you wake up one day and you feel like this. It's like, oh my God, I've got more energy now. Oh my God, I've maintained weight loss even though I've eaten like shit. But it's like, it's if you can like try something knowing that it could be a slow result, and go into that mindset to think a lot of this shit is not it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. So you got to be patient. And are you willing to spend the money to be patient and go down that?
Well, otherwise it's like that person that goes to the gym one time for an hour and then the next morning, like, oh, I don't have a 6-pack. Well,
Yeah. No, that's a big thing about it. What about like, just like labels too? You make a decision to make a step in life because you feel like you will then, like you're following that checklist. The Joneses. I mean, even just what you were brought up having to do. Like you have to, buy a nice car. You have to like, buy a home, buy a house, the American dream type stuff. And then you realize, what you can afford, you buy a label, you buy a brand, or you buy in a certain area of town, you buy a certain type of house. And then all of a sudden you may not have been as confident as you thought you were going into that for all of the things that are involved in that purchase or in that step in life.
Buyer's remorse sometimes.
Yeah. A lot of buyer's remorse for sure.
But for me, like if I get into something that I really like and I'm passionate about it, I will try to sell it to the moon and back, because I'm very an advocate for, like, if I buy something or if I try something, whether it's food or, digestible, or it's just an item that would be beneficial for anyone's life, I'm going to try to, like, hey man, this is legit. This isn't one of those, like, buy the magic beans kind of thing. It's like, this actually works. And I'm kind of that way with, I mean, it's not like like in this situation, but with cigars and bourbon, I'm very passionate about it. And I felt like, Vinny, I haven't told Vinny this, but I'm like, there was a chance of, like, there may have been a cigar rep position open. I was like really thinking about, like, doing that, because I love to talk about it. I love to share. And I think ultimately I just love to be able to give somebody else an opportunity to say, hey, give this a shot. It's going to improve your life, or it's going to make something, you're going to enjoy this from doing this. So, but again, it's one of those, like, there's a lot of trial and error in that process of, like, I can't tell you how many freaking bottles of herbs and shit that I bought that I'm like,
end up throwing out.
Yeah, I'm throwing out, or they've expired, or I'm like, well, this just gave me the shits for 2 weeks. It ain't gonna work,
It means it's working.
Yeah, exactly.
It means it's working, right?
Yeah. Vinny just says, thanks for the shout out. No calling out tomorrow. All right, got it.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I think you kind of touched on something there a little bit. I think to some extent, a lot of consumers, depending on what the market is, there's a lot of consumers that don't necessarily, because they maybe have fallen for an advertisement or something like that didn't turn out to be something that they enjoyed. They're a little hesitant the next time. So they're not necessarily going after whatever's being promoted right in front of them. A lot of times they'll then ask someone, have you tried this? Like if you go to a cigar shop and you ask the person working there, like, have you tried this? Like if you see something you don't recognize, like, oh, have you had this? What do you think of it? Or you go to a liquor store, like, I don't recognize that bottle. Have any of you had this?
Yeah, I do that to you guys all the time.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
But no, I think, we see, big brands or flashy labels, and I think a lot of consumers nowadays are a little weary of that, given how much money companies spend in advertising to try and get people to buy their product. They would rather actually hear an actual review from someone who's had it.
Yeah.
So if people sit there and, when I'm at work and people ask me for a recommendation on a wine or a whiskey, it's like, well, here's what I recommend. And then usually they follow it up with, well, have you had it? It's like, yes, I have. That's why I'm recommending this.
Yeah.
But that's also on my part, like why I'm asking them questions. I don't want to just sit there and recommend something out of the blue. It's like, I'm going to tell them, like, I've had this. Here's what I think of this product. That's why I'm recommending it to you.
Yeah. But even then with that kind of leads into, a follow-up here, how much of what we enjoy is actually the story we've been told.
I think that plays a role in it.
Yeah.
Because if there's a story behind something and then we experience that product, we almost put ourselves in that shoe where we almost feel like we're part of that story now. So like to give a brief example, there was a product in our store that I'd been hand selling for a while because people didn't necessarily come into the store looking for that product. But I had it, and I would tell people about that, and people would go ahead, take a chance on that product. And I'd have people that come back and would tell me how good that product actually was.
Yeah.
But then it was a year and a half later that all of a sudden that product wins some big award, and then people will actually start going out looking for it.
Yeah.
And so I like to brag a little bit to customers. It's like I've tried that. I was recommending that to people before it ever got accolades. Like I was ahead of the curve.
Nice.
Like this is something that I believe in even before it was, before it received a bunch of publicity.
That's always nice to have. Having that inside information from somebody that's experienced it is a huge game changer, because you know that they've, like, for me, I'm always like, if I'm somewhere at a liquor store and I see a certain bottle I've never seen before, I'll be like, text Nate and Steve, like, you ever had this? Any good? Worth the shit? And, and sometimes they're like, yeah, it's great. Now it's not that great, or never had it. So it's like, sometimes then I'm tempted to be like, well, if they've never had it and it's a decent price point, I may pick it up and then we can bring it on the show and try it out and see what we think.
Yeah. Well, then go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, with all that being said, right? I mean, like you talking about like, buying like different like herbs or like, supplements or whatever like that. And talking about that. Like, do you ever go in fully blind?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, at my work, there are times where I might buy a bottle of whiskey or, bottle of wine. It's like, I've not even sampled this. A rep hasn't come in and tried me on this. I'm just intrigued by the product.
Why? Why would you buy a bottle of wine or whatever?
The marketing, the way the bottle looks.
Okay.
I mean,
keep in mind, like, obviously we knew these were whiskeys is what we were under the influence of, or impression of, but it was like, it wasn't just, hey, here is a whatever 100 mil, 200 mil, whatever that is. I think it's 100 mil, but of a liquid. Want some? that's tasting blind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I call it double blind.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, not even knowing, like, we knew these were whiskeys. It was coming from what we thought was a reputable company, obviously, but not before we knew Bobby. But it's like, that's like, I feel like truly blind. I feel like we're always influenced by something.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the cool things about doing something double blind. I've also been fortunate enough, I'm sure Steve has as well, of doing a double blind on cigars. Like, someone just hands you a cigar, no band on it, and it's like, here, smoke this, tell me what you think.
Yeah, we just did that a few weeks ago.
And they just sit there and they talk about it, and then come to find out, it's like, oh, it's this. I've had a customer who's like, I don't like cigars from this person. I'm like, okay, well, what do you like? And then I actually go, oh, here, get this. That person doesn't know it's made by that company, but it doesn't have that company's name on it. But I'm not recommending it just to try and mess with them. I'm also recommending it because I think it's a really good product. And then that person smokes that cigar and like, yeah, this is actually really good. Cool. It's made by that person that you said you didn't like.
Yeah.
So you can't sit there and just write off like you have one or two from a brand and be like, I don't like those. I'm never going to try that brand's products ever again. They might have something that you actually really enjoy. Yeah. So you can't cut yourself off before you ever try and experience that.
The one thing I'll do too is I'll do research. I'll do a little bit of homework, and like, if it's whatever product it is, like TikTok shop is like another rabbit hole you could easily go down. And I've been burnt by it. Like, it's like all these cool swinging, like 2 Adirondack chairs and a table for $100. And I sign me up. And then all of a sudden
they're this big.
There's nothing there. And
they're
I'm like,
Temu.
Yeah,
right.
Temu right there. Yeah.
And then I go, and then I just like, well, I haven't heard anything back. And I go to Google the seller. And I'm like, oh shit, it's a scam.
Yeah.
So now I've learned from that. So like, if there's certain
Google first and then buy.
Right. So that's what I do. But what's funny too is if there's a product that's like legit and you see the website and they're putting all these positive comments, or even the comments on a reel on Facebook or whatever, and you go to, I always go to Amazon. Okay, are they selling the same shit? And it's always like 3 stars. Well, then they're like, well, there's times where it may not necessarily be the right, the exact what they're selling. It could be like someone just making a copy of it and kind of half-assing it. So of course it's going to look bad on Amazon. So then you got to deep dive and go to like Trustpilot or go to, so I'll because
Snopes,
I've been
right? Was
whatever
Snopes.com.
Yeah. So it's like I go a little bit, if I'm really, really like interested in it, I'm going to go a deep dive into it and see, look at independent places that have actually reviewed it, not based on what the website says or what Amazon says. Then I can kind of get an idea of like, well, it's okay, but you need to buy it directly from the supplier, not through Amazon or whatever, or it's a piece of shit. Don't even try it.
Right.
So
all the verified buyers, all the positive reviews are basically like bought and paid for, or they're just generated Now you can generate it easily, right? With AI and stuff.
Oh, I know. That's yeah, it's nuts, man. It's and again, it's just a rabbit hole with all that shit. And at least now, like I've kind of like steered clear of that stuff, and I'm like, things are like whatever. But now it's like at least certain things that I know that I'd be interested in. Like, for example, I go back to the bourbon cigars. I've got people on both sides of me that can legitimately say, great cigar, great bourbon. Well, it's overrated, or price point's not worth it, or whatever. And then I can actually pass that down to other people, So it's awesome.
Bourbon's easy, right? I mean, like, the secondary market and stuff like that, it's like, this $150 bottle and you should like it, right? Or whatever it might be. Or like what you were looking at. Like when I texted you, I was like, whatever you do not buy anything else out in California.
Yeah.
Because he's literally like sending the messages, like with the pictures of the different, like the old Rip Van Winkle and stuff like that. And he's like, are these good prices? And I'm like,
no.
I mean, even if they
I was driving at the time, so I couldn't chime in right away.
If they were good prices, I'd be like, no, they're terrible. And you got back. I'm like, actually, it's a good price, but I don't think you should spend $1,400 on a bottle of bourbon.
No, and I wasn't planning on it, but you always hear like, oh, if it's Pappy, you can get crazy amounts. But then if you dive deeper, it's not necessarily that bottle, but if it's the 20 year, 23 year, now you're looking at like if it is $1,400 and you can get secondary for a crazy amount, then yeah, I probably would have thought about it. But I know I've been to California a couple of times where I've seen these and you're like, dude, this is ridiculous. One bottle in particular blew my mind was the Eagle. Is it very rare?
Double rare.
There's the Double Eagle Very Rare, which is a 20 year. And they also have a 25.
Jesus. And it's like what retails like $4,000 or something?
On the 20 year, the retail now is
25,000.
Is it $3,000? 2,500.
Okay.
$3,000.
There's two when it came out.
We were at a restaurant out there and they had a pour for $600.
Yeah.
And I look at the Pappy, it's like 120.
Give me a double.
Holy shit, 120 for. I always thought Pappy was always the high end, and now you've got all this other shit that's kind of.
Well, then you have like the Weller Millennium that came out a couple of years ago. $7,500.
Jesus,
off the rip.
Yeah, but then like secondary was almost the exact same.
Really?
And then you
can't up.
You can't. It's hard to upcharge
mark up. But yeah, you can mark up a $7,500 bottle. Well, I'll sell it to you for $15,000.
So in the last 2 years since that product's come out, like there have been other stores, like a Costco somewhere that they're selling that exact same bottle for less than $6,000 now.
Yeah.
And, it was just those people that kind of bought into it that, when it first came out, because it was the newest thing.
Sure.
Or it was the newest thing that they could possibly flip and make some money on. And
well, we've talked about that one. I mean, not stand up bourbon thing, but like the Traveler whiskey was the prime example of that.
So that's
it had Buffalo Trace tied to it, and everyone's buying, like there's no allocate, like there's no limit one person, people buying cases of it. And then there was no secondary market for it because they were mass producing it. And then everyone started dogging it and saying like, oh, this stuff's garbage and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's $35, dude.
Yeah,
it's come down in price.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad, right? It's just that you just pissed because you can't sell it. How often are our opinions actually ours?
Good question.
Damn. I mean, I think
it's
it goes both ways. I think there are some things where
I think everyone's different. First of all,
I think it depends on how vested we are in that product. Whether it be how much we spent on that product, but like if you buy something because you heard from other people that it was a good product, then you want that to be true. Like if people said that, if people said this cigar was, the best cigar out in the market, like you're like, all right, cool. I want to buy that cigar. I want this to be the best cigar on the market. Now, if it's a $12 stick, you're probably not going into it thinking it's the best cigar on the market. But if it was a $50, if it was $100 cigar, like, or $150, like the Cohiba M, or the Spectre, the Cohiba Spectre that comes out once a year, and you're paying $150, like you want that to be the greatest cigar you've ever had, because if it's not, it's a letdown.
Sure.
But I think when it comes to just an average of what we're spending on a particular thing in that category, whatever it is, whether it be clothes, cigars, whiskeys, whatever, like, I'm going to give that a shot. And if you're going into it like that, I think you're going to be more like, okay, was this worth it? Did I really enjoy it? Is there something else at that same price that I enjoy more? Like, or
when do you get to the point where you like things because you like them versus you like things because everyone else likes them? And this is what it's kind of like agreeing as what's that? What do you
bottle
got?
Right here?
What are we sipping on?
So this is the Bua Imperial Stout cask finish.
No shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
like a Bua.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a little bit more alcohol than the regular Blue Label Bua. This one's finished in a Imperial Stout barrel. But no, 6 years ago, Steve and I were fortunate enough. We had the owners of Bua in the old garage.
That was cool. Martin.
That was fun.
And we got to try that whiskey, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And it was brand new 6 years ago, brand new to Ohio, only available in Ohio. And, all of us that got to try that day absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still something that is very much under the radar. They're a very small production.
I think they've struggled a bit too.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
People just aren't necessarily catching on. Someone who works in a retail establishment, like that's kind of my job is like, I really enjoy their products. So when people come in and they're looking for an Irish whiskey, like I'm telling them, like, unless you want to spend money for Redbreast, like this, the regular Blue Label Bua, like that's my daily. I can drink that in the middle of summer, 95 degrees with no ice. It's just smooth. It's easy drinking. I love it. So when they come out with a new product, or a couple of years ago when they had all the different finishes and single barrels that OHLQ did, like those were the ones that I wanted, not the big name distilleries that were putting out stuff. Like local guys, that's the kind of stuff I was looking for. And telling people about that, like, no, here's something that people don't know about, but I've had it. Like I really enjoy that product. And so sometimes
let me ask you this.
That was an opinion I based on myself. Like I got to try that and I was blown away by it.
I think people, they try to make decisions based on hopefully educating themselves. And I think, that, again, with my college degree being sociology, I am a firm believer that everyone is socialized into what they, learn in life and who they become. But with that being said, it's when you get to that point where you don't just follow trends, you don't follow everyone else's opinions. Like for example, like cars are a real easy one, right?
Yeah.
That there are certain brands that are reliable and there are certain brands that are not reliable, right? But yet, I'll say one of the most reliable. I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure, like if you go to a Honda or a Toyota dealer, their service department is very busy.
Is it busy because they have problems, or is it busy because they sell so many vehicles?
Maybe a combination of both, but I don't think they just do oil changes.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get it.
I'm not attacking any brand. You know what I mean? And like some do have products.
Recalls.
Everyone's had recalls. Everyone, everyone. If you buy a car and you're like, I had a friend that had a great, experience with this brand, and then you get one and hopefully you luck out, but then you don't, or vice versa. You have, hey, I'm looking at this car and someone's like, oh, I had one, don't buy it.
Yep.
And then you just don't buy it.
Because you're influenced by one opinion.
You're influenced by one person you trust or their experience, right? It's not even the person, it's their experience. But I use that example because it is, I think, something where when there is a, from a mass amount, a population of a certain amount that will say like, this is good, this is bad, that will then now affect it. Now, I'm not saying that's always inaccurate. Sometimes there are things like I wouldn't, like talking about cars, like I wouldn't encourage someone to buy like a 10-year-old Range Rover.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because, but I also would think that even now going forward, like you buy a certain car that has everything's got options. Everything's loaded.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like all the things that were going wrong a lot of times, sometimes mechanically, but a lot of times it's all the features on it, all the electronics and all that stuff. It's like even in like the 80s and 90s, the luxury brands, don't buy those. They're always in the shop for like different electrical issues and stuff like that. Now, fast forward, every car's got that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything's got. I just use that as an example because it's so easy because obviously where we live in the U.S., like everyone owns cars, right? So it's like it's the worst thing to do. As far as buying process and it's always a gamble, even if you have a warranty. But I use that example as of like, if certain things were reliable, then that would lead me to believe like a Honda dealership is their service department has like 2 people working and like 2 mechanics because they don't need them.
Right, because it's always cars running.
But that's not the case.
Right.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
But yet our opinions of it, and I agree, like, you know, like Japanese cars are very reliable, where a lot of like American and European cars aren't as reliable, but they're just based on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at like Consumer Reports, you look at any of these things where it's like they're basing the reliability on that.
Yep.
And it's all based on not every car that goes out on the road and coming in, but I feel like sometimes it's just these things build up over the last several decades of products with that brand on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or people's, you know, life paths. Like I mentioned, you know, owning a home and stuff like that. It's like you can argue either way. You can argue leasing a car or buying a car, depending on what your driving habits are and what your finances are. You can argue renting versus owning. You know what I mean? There's a responsibility on both sides of it. But I feel as though, like when you say, you know, how often are our opinions actually ours? I don't think they are until you finally have a personal experience with whatever, like we're talking about consumer, you know, isn't like it's like, so you buy a certain brand.
Sure.
But
I mean, we just did that.
I think you put up with more certain times when you're told or you're led to believe that this is a good product. This is a good cigar, a good bottle of bourbon. You sip on it, you question yourself if you don't like it or if you have a bad experience with it.
Yeah, and it's crazy how like influential the cars is a great point. Like over time, like
it's easy. It's an easy one to talk about.
Kiddo wrecked their car back in November. And so when we started looking for a new car, like I was leaning towards either Honda or Toyota or Nissan. That was because I knew based on the cars I've had in the past, whether I've had Toyotas, I've had Nissans, and I have a Scion, which is a Toyota brand, they've been reliable. And based on, you know, when you start to look at those, you know, look outside that and see, like you said, the Consumer Reports, those seem to be more reliable. So we were leaning towards something, one of those 3.
Yeah, I think it's an educated decision.
Yeah,
I do. I'm not saying that's wrong, right?
Well, I mean,
sure.
So,
but I have experience from owning them as well.
Yeah.
The last time, you know, a couple of years ago when I bought my car, you know, right there on the salesman's desk was like, hey, here's a list of brands and the number of problems per like 100 vehicles and whatever the criteria was for the study. And like, here you go. Here's the top 30 brand or, you know, top 20 brands in the US. And it's like, all right, you know, they have highlighted in bold font, like here's our brand or here's our parent company's brand. Here's us. Like, because with some cars, like Steve has a Cadillac. Well, Cadillac's GM, so you have Chevy in that mix as well. You have Cadillac, you have Buick.
About it now.
Yeah, they got rid of Pontiac and Oldsmobile. No, they still have 4 GMC.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't make any sedans.
No one does, except for everyone else in the world. Right? Yeah. You see sedans every day.
Yeah.
But all the American car makers are like, no one's buying them anymore. It's like, that's when I just saw an Altima, Accord, a Civic. I saw a BMW, I saw a Mercedes, I saw like you're right. No one's making. I saw Kia sedans like everywhere in Ohio. Like, you know.
How often do you, when you look for something and you see reviews, you look for a product and it could have like 4.8 stars, but
out of 5, right?
Right. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm going to look for the 1 stars. And
Amazon, I click on, because you can do it by
right.
I click on the 2s and the 1s, and
right.
a lot of times actually I feel like it's like, oh, I never got the product, or like to your like supplement thing, like, oh, the bottle was open when it got to me, and you're like, all right, I'm not listening to this.
But the salesperson was a dick. That's why I rated the product bad.
Right. But I think it's a natural response in our minds to always look for the negative things, even if it's outweighed by the positive, because if you find like one person say, well, it was a piece of shit, or it didn't really work for me, or whatever, we kind of focus on that and almost sometimes ignore the better reviews, because you're like, well, it could be automated, it could be AI, it could be, you know, there's certain places that you buy certain shit, they'll be like, well, if you give us a review, we'll give you a positive review, we'll give you another free bottle. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, how many people got this extra bottle based on just they gave a great review because they get a free bottle?
Sure.
And so, but it's easy to, that's where it gets tricky. And like for cars, going back on that, it's like based on your experience, based on people that have those certain cars, that's an easy one to be able to kind of help make a decision because, hey, you got a Cadillac. What do you think? If somebody were to ask me about a Jeep, I would say, don't ever fucking buy them because I had a Grand Cherokee and it was the biggest lemon known to man. But then I started looking more and seeing that people are having similar problems with them, or any Jeep. And I love Jeep. I love their designs. I love the cars, but I'm very leery to buy anything. Mm-hmm. And like, even when we would shop, when we were shopping for my wife's car, we tried a Jeep and it was like, okay, this is weird. This isn't working. This isn't doing that. And I'm like, well, that just solidified my whole opinion on it. So now I'm going to be more anti-Jeep and more like something else. And
yeah.
Well, we had this discussion years ago in the old garage when it actually you brought up, Steve, it was a story about Fido's. A customer had written a bad review. Yeah. Well,
the topic was, what the fuck's your problem?
Yeah. What the fuck is your problem was the exact topic. But no, like one of the things that you brought up in that conversation was people that have a bad experience are very open and willing to 100%. Write a bad review.
Yep.
But people that have an absolutely great, phenomenal experience, they're like, yeah, this place was great. They are less likely to actually leave a review.
I left a review for so our friends own Elliot's Wood Fire Pizza.
Yeah.
I just got an email. I shared it to some friends that work there and everything. Justin, who's his family owns it, and I left a review when the New Albany one opened. I think it was 2022, 2023. I forget what it was. Mm-hmm. I just got an email from Google, saying, "Oh, people are reading your reviews." 30,000 reviews, and it was a positive one. 30,000 views. Excuse me. 30,000 people had looked at that review.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. Wow.
So that's you're absolutely right. That I literally got that email yesterday, the day before.
No shit.
And it just was like, hey, good, congratulations. Like, oh, thanks. I left a review, but it was cool because it's, a close friend, and the fact that
definitely help their business. I'm sure.
Well, you put a positive review out there.
Yeah.
You do that.
Yeah, we're eager to leave negative reviews, but we just expect everything to be positive and good. So when we have a good experience, we're like, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't need to leave a review for that. We only want to leave reviews when it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier, right?
And how often do you get when you do buy a product from somebody or a service and like, please make sure to leave a review, and then you like, yeah, I will, and then all of a sudden you get sidetracked with something else, and you look back and like, shit, I never gave them a review.
Well, I think it also applies to the service industry.
Sure it does.
When people go out to eat at a restaurant and they have a bad experience, they'll reflect it in their tip. Even if the issue had nothing to do with the server, they'll reflect it in their tip. They'll blame their experience on the server. By the way. You shouldn't.
No.
Or they want to talk to a manager or something like that. But how often do we have a customer come into a restaurant and have a great experience and then go up to the server or to the manager, the GM of the restaurant, and be like, hey, I just had one of the best service experiences of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't see that often. So that's something where, like, there have been times in the past where I've gone to a place and just had phenomenal service.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want you guys to know, like, how awesome that person is.
Yeah, it's nice.
Like, I want you guys to realize that. Yeah. And, there have been times where I've gone back to a restaurant, and like, we even have it at Carfina's, where you get someone who's like, what section does this server have? I want to sit in their section.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
No, it reminds me of when I was in the moving industry and we had comment cards, and it was we had an incentive for the movers that for every 5 they got out of 5, mm-hmm. they would have, I think it was for every perfect card, they would get what we call truck bucks. And that would go towards, they'd get that every month. They'd get like a so many truck bucks, and they could use that to buy like uniforms or moving supplies. So it wasn't like, you're just getting a Visa gift card. It was like literally like, you're gonna have to like buy more shirts, more, because you're doing labor, right? Or you need more tools, whatever. It's like, it's on you, but this is something that can do good for you. and then went to emailing it because you had the problem of they wouldn't hand them the comment card if it was a bad move.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you had a hell of a day and the customer was terrible or you were terrible or whatever it might be.
If you
it's like, man, they're not getting their comment cards.
If you stuck a sofa into the wall and a staircase.
It wasn't me.
Well, it's funny that
I saw it. I had to handle that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I brought that up. I remember that story.
With my new job, it's like, you're going to expect, we kind of like watch a trend because we're providing a service. Like what I do is we're handling all the NetJets accounts for shipping their aircraft parts from all over the world. And there's a lot of times where we may say something internally where if somebody's struggling with something, and if it's a one-off, it's like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. But if it starts to become a trend, then we can kind of address that. But it's like with anything, if you start to see the same trend coming up, like food was cold, or then you can kind of like almost look at it at a more of a macro perspective instead of just focusing on one review. If you start going down this review and going, okay, well, there's like 5 reviews now that's saying the same shit about this certain thing, that may be a little more legit in terms of saying, okay, well, this is a trending thing that keeps happening. So
let's nip it in the bud.
Yeah. And yeah, as a company, you want to nip in the bud, but as a consumer, it's like, it may be one thing where like, well, I want to go there, but shit, they keep having the same problem.
Yeah.
But okay, is the company checking their reviews? Is it, do you
get every review that comes in on Google for the Facebook
for Tinder
Box.
Yeah. And so, but if it's one of those, like if you really, really want to go to this place or whatever it is, you can say, hey man, I'm really wanting to come here, but I'm seeing a lot of reviews of the same problem. I mean, that may put a fire into them to say, okay, please come out. Let us prove them wrong. And we want to give you a good experience. Hell, man, they may hook you up.
They can. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, you can always reward people for their reviews from a business standpoint. I think a lot of businesses like people, they don't want people's feedback because they don't want to hear anything negative, and they dwell on it, right?
Yeah, that's the focus on that.
Especially, the person getting the review, or if the owner is looking at them, they're just super hypersensitive on any negative feedback. And it's like all of a sudden you get one, like say you have like you said, 4.8 out of 5 or whatever. One review comes in, and all of a sudden, like the person in charge, the owner, whatever, they might just all of a sudden, it's like, all right, all staff meeting.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, all right, well, like things aren't always perfect, right?
Zoom out.
You zoom out.
Zoom
I like
out
that.
and look at the big picture.
I actually saw one. It popped up on social media. Someone had written a 1-star review on a divorce lawyer, and it's like, yeah, this person, they're just going to take your money and terrible. And then the owner of that lawyer practice goes, yeah, this was the ex of my client.
That's
not a client.
This person was not a client. I did my job for my customer. That person didn't like it because I beat their attorney's ass in court.
All right, here's a big one here for you guys. Where in your life right now might you still be tasting blind? Examples: judging people too quickly.
Yeah.
All right, there's one.
Yep.
It wasn't a yes or no question, but
sorry.
go ahead. Yeah, this is food for thought, but yeah, you can just check. Assuming something is better because of price or status, being stuck in routines without questioning them.
The one thing I will say about, and I'm a sucker for this, and I'm admitting I don't give a shit, but like if I see something like hot, like something that's a hot item, and all of a sudden I'm like, I just landed this and I was able to get it for this much off. I'm very,
Sale.
Yeah. And I'm very quick to be like,
It's a good deal.
dude, I got this for like $100 off the normal. Like, I'm so excited to share it, and I'm like
when I'm like, not to you, but like someone says like, oh man, I like your shirt. Or you say to someone, thanks, I got it for $15. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. They got on sale.
I didn't ask like what you paid for. I just, this nice shirt.
Yeah. So it's
but a lot of people do that when they get a good deal on something.
Yeah, they're very excited to share it. But again, it's a nice thing to be able to offer them. Like if you really like it, it's something you want to get on the road. Hey, this is where you should go get it.
Yeah.
So no, I'm a sucker for that shit. And then I try to, it's almost like not just sharing it, but trying to justify like, hey, I got this and I got it for 50% off. And you're waiting for that person to go, oh, that's a great deal. You made out really good. You kind of almost want to get that like self
that positive affirmation.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. You want to get that to make sure you did the right thing. And then, especially if you feel like there's some kind of buyer's remorse sneaking in your head and you're like, but if someone tells me that I had a good deal and I made out real well, then it makes it more worth it, so.
I think it's, you want to spend money on things you like, obviously a good deal or whatever, but some people balk at price. You know what I mean? When it comes to that, you might really like it. And as long as you're not obviously overextending yourself, but it's like, then buy it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because all you're going to do, or if you see something on sale, you're like, it's still pretty expensive. And then they sell out and you're like, should have done it.
Yep.
Should have bought that.
Well, I think we talked about that. The one bottle of Midwinter Night Dram I brought on the podcast to celebrate your engagement.
Yeah.
I got that bottle because normally that product doesn't last by the time I get to work on a Saturday. And my first year at Carfania's, I showed up on the Saturday we put that out and there were still some bottles. I was like, I'm buying one. Well, come to find out, the year before that release, there were a lot of people on social media and reviewers and influencers who did not like the release. So they didn't go out they didn't go out and buy the next year's release. But then the next year's release was one of the best that company's ever put out. So then all those people that didn't buy it because they hated the one the year before were like, shit, I should have gotten it. So then the next year when it came out, everyone was back to buying it again because those people, felt bad that they'd missed out because, they gave up after, they may have had it 10 times and all of a sudden 1 year it's a dud. And they're like, well, nope, not going to do that again. Right. It's like, well, you bought it 10 times. One was not your profile, but other people liked it.
Yeah.
And then they missed out the next year and like, well, I'm never doing that again. So now you get people asking for it.
I think you have to follow your heart there a little bit, not just follow other people's opinions, right? Yeah. That's a prime example. I want to hear, go ahead.
Especially when it comes to whiskeys or wine or, spirits, anything like that. Like price isn't necessarily what gets for me being in the industry. If I see something at a high price, I'm a little bit more weary.
Can be.
Like if there's a couple bottles that we have on the shelf right now that are in that $150, $180 range. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Cause even their regular product, yes, it's good. Is it worth $150 or $200?
Like consumer choices. I want to hear more about you guys when you both went, to judging people too quickly.
Oh yeah.
You guys didn't even hesitate on that.
I might get customers that come in. And, I think any retail industry. Think of the movie Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
You get a customer that comes in and they don't necessarily look the part, and you're like, this person's probably looking, for cheap shit, or we don't have stuff for them. But I still give them the same level of service. Like I still ask them questions.
Yeah.
I had it the other day. I had a customer come in the store and they went into the tequila aisle and, they were looking around and, I went up to them. I was like, this person's probably someone that buys like Jose Cuervo or 1800. And then I started asking them questions. Turns out their favorite tequila is my favorite tequila too.
Right.
So I'm like, yes, this is great. But when they walked in, I was like,
in all fairness, if they're going to buy an 1800 or a Jose Cuervo, that's also a sale.
Yes, it is. It is a sale.
That's like you're in retail. Let's remember where we're at.
I'm absolutely going to judge them on their taste, but
we had a quick story there on that, just because you brought that up. Kristen and her friend were up at Easton on Saturday night. They went to dinner, and they went into where they both used to. One works at Bath and Body Works, and they both used to work for BBW and Victoria's Secret when they were together. And Kristen worked for Victoria's Secret. They went into Victoria's Secret. It's about 10 till close. They were just walking by to their cars, and they walked in, and some lady that was folding whatever from several feet away. They walk in. First thing, we close in 9 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
No hello, no nothing. And so Kristen was like, who cares?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm
so
not.
Chris was like, so we have 9 minutes to look around then? Okay, thank you. Kristen now has, she communicated with the head of stores
Oh, nice. Go, Kristen.
To let them know of that experience.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. You never know.
You never know who walks in. You could be the CEO of Jose Cuervo.
Yeah.
Walk in, you're like, oh, that's trash. Like, you want to try this. And they're like, is it?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, it is.
Undercover Boss. Great show.
Undercover Boss.
There was a Friday night at the Tinder Box. Guy came in. It was probably 10 minutes before we closed, and everyone's in close down mode, and we're wanting to clean up so that way we can get out of there on time. And the guy ends up buying a box of Opus and a humidor.
Oh, fuck.
It was a $600 sale. Brian had left already. And then
know.
Brian came in the next day and he's like, wow, should I have stayed here? Like, you guys got busy the last hour. And I'm like, no, we just had one $600 sale.
Great sale.
like, no, it was still kind of slow. You were good to leave. We just had someone come in at the last minute. And it's like, oh, that's one of those situations. Like, you can sit there and stay open. Like, oh, if you want to sit there and drop that, you're like, yeah,
I don't think it's that. I think it's just the fact that you're still there. They walked in, you're open. You know, at some point, you let them know that hey, we're closing soon. But it's not. You don't leave.
How can I help you with anything?
Yeah, you look for anything in particular. Now I'm just looking. It's like you look at your watch. You got like 2 minutes till close. You're like, okay, great. Yeah, just take a look around. Let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, and go lock the door.
And then, or 5 minutes later, you'd be like, hey, just so you know, we closed a few minutes ago, so I'm not trying to rush you. Just let me know if you need anything. You just kind of put it out there, right? There's a way to talk to people, and some people don't get it. But being stuck in routines without questioning them is kind of where I want to kind of round this out here.
Sure.
Because I do feel like this whole tasting blind thing, too many people aren't, like Bobby was saying earlier in the first part as he was closing out there, is that it's too many people aren't willing to take risks on things unless other people give them the go ahead.
You want to have somebody justify it for you.
Yeah, you want to have it justified. You want to have that reassurance, like when like, I got this shirt for $15. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's good. I would have paid 10, but that's whatever. Like, you don't ever know how it's going to go.
Yeah, if it's a friend, I'm going to totally fuck with them.
Yeah, you paid $15 for that? Jesus. Okay, I thought it was free. Being stuck in routines without questioning them is something that I feel as though is part of that. You're just blindly following what you've always done.
Comfort.
Yep.
Because if things are going well, like, they don't even have to be going well.
I was going to say
they just have to be going okay.
They're just going.
But if things are going okay, you're not having disasters, you're like, okay, like, things are okay. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing because things are okay. At least things aren't going bad. There's the risk of, if I try to do more, then things will go bad. But that holds you back from things then going great. There was actually was scrolling. There was a video. It was Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator at Ohio State, who I actually waited on as a customer at Carfania's. I didn't even know it was him.
Lost so much weight.
But he had said this thing. He had been talking with players where he's like, "Hey, did you do this?" And like, "No, I'm good." Well, did you do this drill? No, I'm good. Did you do this drill? No, I'm good. He goes, good will get in the way of great.
It's funny you say that, Nate. I just went through all of this in the last month and a half to 2 months. I worked from home. Well, I was working from home for the last probably 10 years. And you talk about being stuck in a routine. I was, I never dressed up. I wore a t-shirt and shorts. I didn't shower for days. It's probably TMI, but
yeah, we were happy to see you come with pants today.
Yeah,
it's showered.
Yeah, and I'll explain why I did all that. But losing a job or having jobs, and then the previous job that I'm performing at now, again working from home, things didn't work out. Now all of a sudden, I'm back to square one trying to find a job. And I miraculously landed something within 8 days. I had a new job lined up, but that new job required me to travel, which is fine. But then it required me to go back to an office setting.
Yeah.
And it required me to like dress up. Now I've bought new pants. I bought new shirts, and I'm very excited because the pants actually fit. They're not baggy. They're not 20-year-old dress pants anymore. They're like more up to speed. So even my wife and kid are like, dude, those pants look so good on you. You're not wearing the baggy shit from like the 1990s. So
90s Kohl's action, man.
Yeah,
nice.
For sure. And I went back to him and got new shit from Kohl's, and now I'm like more confident. But during that transition, it was very hard for me to accept the change. It's a change. It's a huge change for me or anyone. When you have change in your life and you know it's going to affect the way you are and it's going to change your whole routine in life, it's a scary thing. So before, the not knowing scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Once I got out there, and my buddy Vince was watching, he and other guys there were made me realize, oh my God, there's so much more out there that allowed me to be the person that I was before I started working from home. I learned from working from home for so long that I got sedentary. I never wanted to go out and do anything. I never golfed. I do things that I love to do that. And like, even my wife's like, why don't you go out and spend some time with your friends? I'm like, no, I'm good here. And it really, now looking back, I was
still in your PJs.
Yeah. But it really, I look back from all this and like I was like always depressed. And I was always going to counseling and I was always struggling with shit because I never really got out there and made a difference in my life. I just got so used to staying at home and sitting out back on the porch, smoking cigars, drinking bourbon more than I probably should have. Well, not probably more than I should have. And it got to a point where it was messing me up in the lifestyle. But I was like, oh, I don't, yeah, it sucks, but I'll still make it work. Now that I'm in a job where for the last 4 weeks, I'm actually going to an office. I've gotten, even just getting new clothes, it just blows my mind. Like I feel more confident in who I am. I feel more social. I'm willing to step out and go do things on a social basis. Like Vinny and I met at Voodoo Brewery down in the Short North. Dude, I've been in the Short North in 6 years easily. And I'm like, oh my God, look how much has changed because me coming out of that shell and putting myself out there with other people shed a light on new things. I'm more confident when I'm doing. I'm not worried about fucking up anymore. I'm more like with my job. I had, when you lose a job and they rip on your performance and tell you weren't doing this and doing that and being under a microscope, the first few weeks with a new job, I was nervous. Like, are they going to do the same thing? Once I realized I got positive reinforcement or positive feedback and realizing how great of a company that I'm with now, where they're all supporting you, they all have your back. You're not on an island by yourself. Now I'm motivated to, like, every day I can't wait to get up and go to work now. I'm excited about going to work.
That's awesome.
It's funny you talk about that because literally before I got ready to come to the podcast, I watched a movie where a character went through that same thing.
Oh, really?
What movie?
My Blue Heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie.
With Rick Moranis and Steve Martin.
Yeah.
When Steve Martin takes them to get a new suit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they finally get back like to the office, Rick Moranis walks in. He's got that new suit and everyone's looking at him. He does a little twirl back to his office.
Suit.
Even says to his boss, like, yeah, you could use a little work there too.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden his whole attitude and confidence, like, then he's out there dancing.
Nice. Yeah.
The merengue.
The merengue. Yeah.
I know that movie so well.
I literally watched it before I got ready to come here.
I've been to Kohl's 3 times.
The shoes, right?
Right. Well, funny you say that. I've been to Kohl's, but
your husband left you because of the shoes. Sorry.
The wife left.
I've been to Kohl's 3 times in the last 2 weeks to find shoes that go with my outfits. Right. Normally I could give 2 shits. But I'm like, well, these pants are good, but these shoes would be really cool.
They're socks.
But I spent hours like trying to find a right shoe to go with my pants and my outfit. That now when I walk in, I have even more confidence when I walk in. It's so funny. It's when you're so in that being in a complacent situation where
complacent's a better term than comfort.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm never wearing pants again. Like that was my motto.
We know.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who know, I'll wear shorts in the winter.
No pants.
Shorts and the flip-flops in the winter. But now I'm like, wow, there's actually clothes out there that actually fit well. My wife's noticing it. She's actually like responding differently to me now. I'm more attentive to what needs to be done at home. I spent 8 hours after working a full day to help Molly put their bed together the other night. Like I'm more engaged and I'm more like that opened such a huge rift where like now I'm more right with like present with my wife and my kid. Yeah. And it allows me to do something I've always struggled with, is stay present. Whereas before I've always fought the worrying about what ifs or what could have happened. Now being present allows me to be more mentally focused. And now I'm at a job where now I'm a manager. And now I'm like, instead of being worried about, hey, we're going to dump all this shit on you, I'm more like, bring it. I can't fucking wait to learn. I want to learn it yesterday.
Got a fire.
Yeah. And it's like, now I'm being more like 100% of like what I've done over all these years of how hard I've worked. I'm actually tuning into that and being effective.
Yeah.
And so it's been such a blessing, but it is very hard to make that transition from being in a certain state in your life to making that. But once you take that leap and that step and that leap of faith, it's amazing what you can bring out of yourself.
There's a difference of being happy at home.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love the feeling of being happy to come home.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. Like the dogs come running out every time I come home. They're like, oh my God, he's home. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm here. I love you. And then like, I've got like an instant charge. And I walk in, what's going on, babe? What can we do tonight? What, and it's like, and she's like, I've missed that because you were like that at one point.
Love that.
Well, I think there's a lot of couples out. There's a lot of couples out there that over the course of the last 6 years, you may have had both spouses working from home. Sure. And then when it comes nighttime, one spouse is like, hey, you want to spend some time together. And the other one goes, I've been at home with you all day. It's like, no, you haven't. You've been home. We've both been home, but like you've been in the basement. I've been in this room. Like we haven't seen each other. Yes, we've been in the same, 2,000 square feet all day. We have
big difference.
The whole idea of working from home was supposed to be it saves you commute, but you have to be basically like you're in the office. And I think a lot of people lost that.
Yep. Yeah, that's the big thing. Yep.
Whether or not you're on camera or you're on whatever, but it became, some people are very good at it. Kristen's very good at it, right? It's like that, not just because she's my wife, but she's very good at it. She's had a lot of experiences with people that are not good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Working from home, you're as if you're in the office.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was a convenience thing. It was a COVID thing and all that stuff. There are a lot of jobs you can do from home, but people, so a lot of people need that where like it's a separation,
sure.
Right? It gets you out of that. But I also think it's a mentality thing, is that there was too much flexibility given, mm-hmm. where, that was, to this episode, it was like a new thing, right? You're going into it blind of like, I don't know how it's going to work. And then you got it like, that's great. I don't have to drive in. I don't have to waste that gas money. I don't have to like I can get up instead of being up like 2 hours early and having to like eat and shower.
5 minutes before.
Yeah. I can get up, walk over to my computer and I'm there. The problem is you never fucking left and you never really went into the office. You were working from home in a different sense than what I think a lot of people, especially that had never done it before.
Right.
They're not programmed for it. Right. So I think the separation is extremely nice, that you can have your separation of your work life, your home life,
mm-hmm.
that you try to work on that. Sometimes it doesn't work. The work-home life balance, all of that
mm-hmm.
stuff, but it's a little bit more definable and it does break up the monotony.
Yeah. And even like, and Christian probably can attest to this too. It's like, when I was working for my previous job, I was working 12-hour shifts and there were times I would sit for 8 hours straight. Mm-hmm. But then by the time I was like logged off, I was so mentally fried. The last thing I want to do was engage anything with anyone. I wanted to go veg out.
You don't want to even leave the house.
No, like, I just walked from the office to the fucking family room to watch TV and zone out. And it's the same thing. It's like there's times where I usually go to the shop on Saturdays to hang out with these guys.
Yeah.
And there's times where I've like gotten home Saturday night, showered, worked all week, and then all of a sudden I get in my car and I'm like, I think the last time it was like Friday by the time I get in my car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, been home a whole week.
Yeah.
So it's anybody out there that's like, where if you are working from home and things are great, more power to you. But if something at any moment, things can change. And that when that happens, there is going to be a fear there. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty because you don't know what's going to happen. But if you've laid something out where you have a job where you may have to go back, try to look at it as this is going to be life-changing, but it's going to be for the better. I didn't believe it up until the day I left. Like, I was getting to the point where I was having anxiety being social with anybody. Like, I went up to South Bend for my family to watch the Notre Dame game. I had to take Xanax before I left to go to the game because I was freaked out. I was like, I wasn't used to being in a social setting. And now that it's kind of back into it, it's like, I feel like I've missed out on a lot. I'm not going to dwell on that. But now it's more about moving forward. Like, I can't wait to take the dogs to the park on Saturday. I can't wait to golf with Ryan Newman. We talked about. That's one of my New Year's resolutions. I'm going to golf with Ryan Newman this year more than once.
Yeah, keep appreciating that because that'll become routine at some point too. Right?
Great point. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. I'm very passionate about that. Sorry, guys.
No, I love it. I love it. See the fire. I love to see the passion.
Yeah.
For those of you that just saw Dave Merrick time in here, right?
Dave. What's up, brother?
Ray came back on for part 2. Appreciate you guys listening in. But yeah, let's round it out here, guys. Thank you very much. This is very cool. The Blind Barrels. I think it's blindbarrels.com. Yep. We had Bobby on, the founder, CEO of Blind Barrels. Check them out. Sounds like they're expanding. We enjoyed this project.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
And he's a very cool guy. If you guys
nice.
Ever get a chance to
would love to meet up with him sometime.
Yeah, meet up with him, get in the same room, same if you do this program, not to keep plugging it, but it does sound extremely cool. It's very layered, right? It's something that they do live feeds as well with the tastings. They have a big one, Fred Minnick. Those that are in the bourbon community know Fred Minnick's name. But he's got he's working with them. So he's going to have a live one. I think it's April 23rd. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's a fun project. I appreciate them sending this to us to do it.
I think it's definitely a great project. Whether you're a seasoned whiskey lover or you're someone who wants to get into it, and because I get a lot of people that, if you describe tasting notes to people, they're like, I don't know how to taste that kind of stuff. Like, this is the kind of thing that will help you get there, because they include this card that Steve posted on the live feed that has the breakdown. There it is. This breakdown of all the different tasting profiles. That's the kind of thing you need in front of you when you're getting started.
Yeah.
In order to learn how to taste these different notes. Because if you do that, that helps you appreciate things like this a little bit more. So that way, then even if you go buy a bottle off the shelf at your local liquor agency, you then take it home and you're kind of excited, especially if it's a new product or something different, limited edition. Like, you're excited to try it. Same thing with cigars. You can sit there and, smoke the same cigar, but then someone comes out that, even if that brand comes out with a new cigar, like, oh, okay. I want to give that a try. And how does it differ from the daily project that company does? Before the Upman by AJ that we're smoking right now came out, I was not a huge Upman fan. No. Like, Upman in my mind had died. I didn't care about any of the Upmans, the Banker, whatever. I didn't really care about any of them. Then they worked with AJ to come out with this blend, the Nicaragua series with the teal band. I was like, oh, that's a really good stick. And then they finished it off with the Heritage with the dark blue. The year that cigar came out, that was my #1 new cigar. So, like I said, I had written off the brand. Then they come out with a couple new projects. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
They're still able to make some really good stuff.
Yeah, it helps you learn a lot. We were all very humbled on the blind tasting tonight.
Shit. And being kind of newer to it, I mean, I've been a few years into it, and being with these guys have been a huge help for me. But to be the fact that the price point for this isn't, you're not breaking the bank. You can do something, experience something like that. And I love Mario's passion. You can tell the dude is like really into it.
You, Mario,
you got to keep tuning in, brother, because you're a good light on this show, because you really show the passion that you really care about. And like, I'm excited. I'm probably going to join just so I can start learning more. Yeah. So if you're an enthusiast, this is just nothing but just enhancing your education on how to define things and appreciate things.
Absolutely.
I'm also going to give Ray some love. The guy, Ray always gives a shit and he busts our balls, but the man has always been reaching out to me outside of this.
It's nice.
When I've been going through some things and with the job and depression. And Ray, I love you, brother. I wish you lived closer. We could hang out more, but I mean, I really appreciate the notes or the messages and the thoughts and everything. It means a lot more than you know.
Plane ride to Vietnam.
Yeah. That's all I got to do.
Guys, cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. At this point, in 4 weeks, we have something very special from Barrel Craft Spirits.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
2 weeks, I am working on getting some a cigar rep or owner on. So we'll see if we can get that going 2 weeks from now. I want to try to do my best to get at least, maybe every other, if I can, cigar side, bourbon side.
Nice.
We'll do what we can.
Yep.
If you guys have any suggestions or want to send us a contact, let us know. But appreciate it, guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy the hopefully spring weather here soon.
See you guys.